All right. Welcome everybody to ATF on a Thursday, and we are here with a surprise guest, and we're gonna talk about some stuff.
Surprise guest.
Uh, uh, yes, we're gonna talk
That's
about
how
a
you
lot of
know
stuff.
we're. That's how you know we're making it. We're on our fourth guest. People want to talk to
On our
us. It's
fourth
very
guest.
exciting.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
yes,
I'm honored.
yeah. So we
Welcome,
well, maybe
welcome.
we can talk about that. We've had a psychiatrist or a psychologist, a
Do you
therapist,
want to share the
come
chat
on.
first? Sorry.
Well, I'm not live right now, so.
Oh, okay. All
Um,
right. Cool.
So when I go live, we can share the chat. But
Yeah.
we've had a actual therapist to talk about healthcare and stuff like that. Then we've had a how would you
DEI
describe Stephanie?
worker specialist. I mean,
DI
she's a
topic.
communication
Yeah,
specialist, but she works in DEI. So.
yeah. So when the whole DEI thing was happening, I don't know if that impacted you guys, but in the force, but we'll talk about that maybe not. And then we had a PhD student come by to talk about like mental health crises and like men's health, like the whole red pill content that's going
Yeah, we
around,
talked
like
a
the
lot about men that
nanoverse.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
We talked a lot
She
about
hates
men a
men.
lot. Yeah,
She hates men.
sorry.
So
I'm a huge misandrist, so hopefully we can cross that barrier today and it doesn't cause too much of a problem.
yes. So now we're here, and
Reckon's here, so we
uh,
can start.
yes. So go ahead, introduce yourself however you want to, and we'll take it from there.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me. My name is Rome. I'm a law enforcement officer. I've been on about 5 years, and prior to that, I was a correctional officer for 2 years. So I worked in the prison system. So I guess 7 years in the scope of law enforcement. So, yeah.
That's
Okay.
plenty of experience. That's a lot of experience.
I would love to
Um,
know what made you want to get involved in law enforcement in the first place.
yeah, let's start there.
Um, hmm. Actually, kind of woke up one day in law enforcement in a way. Like
Really?
kind of a troubled kid. Like I was a little rebellious, kind of anti-cop. I didn't really like the police.
Okay.
As I got older, as I started to think about my future and kind of realizing the poor decisions I was making, I guess I just came to like this reality of like I want to help people who are in this position who are misguided. I grew up in a very urban area, with not
Okay.
a lot of not a lot of mentorship. So signed up to I know it's corny as it sounds, like make a difference within my
No, it's
community.
not.
No.
Yeah, I know it's very
That's
cliche saying that people say, but yeah, to make a
No, but
difference in the community.
yeah, but
People.
think like it. Sometimes it is corny, but sometimes it's if it's true, it's true, right? Like there's thousands of people gotta think like you, like, hey, I just want to make a difference, and like those thousands of
Yeah.
people gotta make those little small differences every day in like people's life, and that makes a huge difference, right? So mm,
I mean,
I think
same
that's
thing.
great.
I'm a social worker, and I went to school for that because I wanted to help people. I mean, it's just a basic desire some of us have, so I don't think it's corny.
Right,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's very admirable.
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you. I just feel like I just feel like it's something I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to help out my community. I wanted to talk to the youth, kind of like relate to them now, and I think it does benefit me now as a police officer, like speaking to
yeah.
kids. Like I can come at them kind of, a little bit on their terms and speak to them like, hey man, I was there, I get it. Like, you don't see the big picture yet. You're young and immature, but at some point you will. And I want to be the one to guide them on that path. That makes
Was
sense.
there ever an officer that helped you in that way, or was it just a way that you saw that you could be like directly in your community?
My father was a police officer,
Oh, okay.
but he wasn't really around, to be honest, too much.
Okay.
But I had that kind of that at least idea of what it would be like in a way, like if that makes sense.
Sure.
No, I think about stuff like that now. I think about that a lot, actually. Like randomly, I'm like, well, my brother, right?
Mhm.
So I think about it because of that, right? Like, and as we're getting older, I have family friends that have little kids, and I think about how my dad used to be like, well, when you get older, you know what I mean? Like, you'll recognize. And then when we were little, you'd be like, I'll be so much better. Like, no, I won't. You know what I mean? Like, I know everything now, right? Um, but I do go like, oh no, you know what? there was some sort of truth to that, right? Do you think when you are dealing with, like you said, you talk to younger kids and you're telling them, hey, like you know, I was there,
Right.
right? Like how do you reach through that lens of like, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. My life is different, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you yeah, how does like being a cop is what I'm asking, like because you as a cop, as a law enforcement officer, you have this position of authority, and like most kids like you and like me, like my brother, like our friends, we were fighting that, we fight that, right? Like as a kid, um how do you do that? Like how do you reach across that? I don't know if that's like too much of like a,
That makes sense.
I
What
don't know
you
if I'm making sense, you know
no,
what I mean?
I mean, there's
Because I
definitely
struggle with that.
it's a barrier for sure, especially with like the media and the way they portray police officers and the
Yep.
badge and the authority. Like they come in like thinking that, I must have been the perfect person to get this job, and that's what a lot of people think, and that's not the case. I think communicating with like your interpersonal communication skills is huge. Like how you communicate with them, and I can talk really professional, or I can kind of like talk like a kid from the hood. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
can do both, obviously
Yeah.
within a professional parameter. But
Yeah.
if you can communicate with them and with their lingo and how they talk, they'll realize quickly. Like I know when someone's like from the streets. Like I know, like I can talk to you for 5 seconds and tell. So they can kind of get it in that way.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
No, because right, like I
you know,
struggle with it.
swagger is the word, whatever you want to use. But like they're like,
Well,
Yeah.
I know that a
Yeah. No.
lot of a lot of agencies are trying to implement or have been implementing this idea of like community policing, and it's basically essentially what you're talking about, trying to get with especially youth like on their level, like engaging in sports with them or being around at their school events and things like that. Is that something that you find yourself engaging in a lot, or is it an initiative that you're I don't know what you would call it. Is it jurisdiction, precinct? Like what's the word?
this is
That
agency.
that you
Agencies like
agency, sure. That you guys is that something that's important in your agency? Because and I asked that because based off of what you said, I mean, it sounds like that's something that would be important to you when you choose where you work.
yeah, we have the Dare program, which is still and like still very popular, and on the
Really?
data,
Oh, awesome.
yeah,
Okay. I
very
didn't
Yeah,
realize that that was
I'm
still
surprised
going
by
so
that.
strong.
Like that was still going
Yeah,
on.
it's
yeah,
kind of got away from like drugs. I feel like that was the focus when it initially came out, and now it's just
yeah.
like with good decision making, which I think
Okay,
is
I
good.
like that. Yeah.
I like
It's
that too.
almost like less punitive that way, because I remember Dare, you just felt like you were being like lectured at, like, don't you do that? But
Which I mean, a
yeah,
lot of times you tell kids not to do something. What do they do, right?
exactly. Absolutely,
That's what
absolutely.
it said.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
figuring out a way.
I think it's very good. I think it's a very good program. But also on the day to day, like, walking down the road, driving by people, and if I'm having a coffee, which, whatever, cops drink coffee, right? And donuts, right?
Not the stereotypes.
But yeah, I'm sitting down, say hello to kids. They'll ask questions, talk to them, just tell them, kind of show them that we're all not robots. I think that's what people think we are, I mean, we have families, like I have a mother, siblings, like it's
Yeah, of course.
just a uniform. But there's a
uh,
disconnect with them,
Do you
yeah,
feel
you
like?
got
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, no. Ask what you want to
Oh,
ask.
I was just wondering, like, do you feel like, I don't know how long that you've been, well, you said you've been working in law enforcement in different ways for like 7 years. So do you feel like you're seeing any of that, like, getting better or easier? Like, do you feel like you're gaining more trust in your communities from especially young people, or do you feel like it's just same barriers kind of over again?
I think I joined law enforcement at a very pivotal time. I think that there was a point in time, and I don't know if definitely before I got on, but where like police officers were loved and like liked. I think after the George Floyd incident was probably like really one of the pivotal moments where the pendulum started to swing in the negative light. So I kind of
Okay.
got on then, I would say. And then, the Police Accountability Act, and that changed a lot of the way we do things and our ability to be sued civilly, and it kind of just, which a lot of people left after that. So yeah, it's
Like a
a
lot of people left policing.
lot of people left law enforcement. Yeah,
Well,
just
I mean,
afraid
if
of.
you can say, what are your thoughts on that? Because my mind automatically goes to, well, anybody who would leave in the face of that probably shouldn't have been a cop in the first place. but I don't want to assume that and put that on somebody who's actually in it. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the reality is, and again, off the top of my head, I can't think of it, but it's one of the only jobs you can go into, make a split-second decision with your life on the line, and then be arrested by your workers in that same day.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Sure.
like you literally, and on a decision that you or a situation that I mean, you asked for it because you signed up, but you didn't ask for that specifically, right? Someone I have to react to an individual's actions in that split-second moment, knowing that I have a family, I have people that count on me to support them, and if I make the wrong decision in that moment, I'll be chastised, destroyed through the media, run through the dirt, and then arrested, and then potentially go to jail forever. It's a tough, and also
Sure.
sued civilly now, specifically after the Police Accountability Act. They can
Mm-hmm.
take you potentially if you violate an egregious violation. But these things happen, man, in these ever evolving
Yeah.
situations.
And I
Do you
can
think
have
about that a
empathy
lot?
for that. And I can have empathy for that. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Continue.
No, I was gonna say, do you think about that a lot? Like this, it's gonna sound weird, like the accountability aspect of it. Like, does that like the do you think about like, oh, I can't make a wrong decision here. That's a lot of pressure, you
Yeah,
know.
I don't
Like
think that it doesn't stop me from doing my job. Like I try to be educated on case
yeah,
law, try to be
yeah,
educated on use of force to know when I can use my, authority, which kind of
yeah,
if an officer is trained on that and is up to date on that, like you have more confidence when you interact with the public. I feel like
yeah,
these situations escalate when they're not. They don't know when they can put handcuffs on somebody. They don't know
yeah,
when they have the right to do whatever. So it kind of leads to these situations escalating. But I feel like if you go into this job with that idea, with that mentality, it's just gonna put you at a deficit. You got to know your stuff, be confident in what
yeah,
you're doing, and just know that you're there to do the right thing. Like if you're there to do the right
yeah,
thing, I mean, I don't know if you believe in God, but it's God's plan, and hopefully everything works out for you. But it is tough. It is tough. It's interesting.
Do you
yeah.
feel, I
No, I
guess like,
agree. I agree with that.
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go.
That made me curious about training. You said you like to stay up on case law. It sounds like that's something that you pursue on your own. I guess, can you talk to us a little bit about like what your training is and then kind of what you and other officers pursue on your own so that you feel more job ready?
Okay. Yeah. So in a correction setting, when I was a correctional officer, it's about a 3-month academy. It's
Okay.
PT, you know, whatever the regulations or laws of the facility that you're going to, and then on the job training for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then you'll go to your facility. Law enforcement officer, it's a lot more intense. There are some departments where you will commute, so you'll go 9 to 5, and then there are other agencies where you'll stay overnight. So I was at a stay overnight agency, so Monday through Friday from about 5 a.m. till about 11 or 12 at night. It's boot camp. Like you're waking up at 5 a.m. to Reveille. I'm not sure if you know what Reveille is. It's
No.
like the
No.
military song. It's an old military song, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
the academy is based after it's paramilitary. So you're
Okay.
waking up at 5
Okay.
a.m. You're doing push-ups, wall sits, you name it. Like uniform inspections. Smoked is the term that they like to use. Have you ever heard of that term? You're getting smoked.
Oh.
It's tough PT,
Like,
I
really
don't
tough
know if I
PT.
understand it in the way you
okay,
mean.
okay, okay. Like you're getting cooked.
Like not like
Like you're
murder.
getting cooked.
But yeah, you're getting cooked. It's called like a smoke session. Essentially,
Okay.
the
Okay.
instructors
Not
will
like actual smoke.
no.
Okay. Okay.
The instructors essentially just PT you until you're tired, and then they'll do it some
Okay.
more.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you definitely have to be
I,
physically capable. You can't just get off the couch and get in there.
kind of
Of
like how we see in
course.
the movies.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. If you've ever seen like a military boot camp movie, it's very, very similar. A very drill instructor, sir, yes, sir. And every time you pass somebody, sir, ma'am, by your leave, sir, ma'am. If that's the, if you don't, then you're on your face doing push-ups. Um, after between that, you're going to be doing, case law, criminal search and seizure, criminal law, motor vehicle law, um, OUIs, just you name it. They have a lot of specialists come in, like social workers, and they'll discuss with you about stuff like that, teach you how to deal with different types of individuals within our communities. It's very extensive. It is. It is. A lot of it's like taking information through like fire hose. Like you're just
Yeah, it
Uh,
sounds like a lot.
It's about
So I,
6.5
I missed the part. I missed the part. How long is like that type of training? I don't know if you mentioned it. Like how long does that happen?
about 6.5 to 7 months.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
a COVID class, so we were extended a little bit.
Okay. Okay. And is that kind of like is that like across the board for any kind of law enforcement officer that like at a state level?
Yeah, it's pretty much,
Like is that the police academy? Is that
yeah,
what it is? Is
that's
that what it
pretty much the like standard. Like there's a like a police. I mean, let me look up the exact thing here really quickly before I tell you guys.
We
So
have
there's
some
a police
comments in too that
standard
will
called
talk.
CALIA, which is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies.
Hmm.
So if you become like most states, I think a majority of states, I can't say all because I don't know, but you'll be post certified under CALIA, which is the standard. So you are like nationally accepted as a law enforcement. Like I can transfer to Texas. I'm sure I would have to go through some type of like, to get familiar with their general statutes in their case, their specific laws, but I'm a police officer certified throughout the nation essentially, and most are.
Okay. Okay. So we have somebody is they said that is crazy to me. You treat police, y'all treat police. She's from Australia. Treat like military. Ours go to school for a year to 3 years and have to pass a test. I mean, you guys pass a test too.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Um,
There are plenty of tests like the fire, like if you don't pass your firearms qualification, you're not getting hired. We have a driving school we go to, you don't pass that, you're not getting hired. I believe ours was 3 tests. If you fail, you're done. I'm not sure
Okay.
it was, where are they from again? Did they say?
Australia.
Australia.
Australia. Do they commute or do they stay overnight? If you can ask that question, I'm curious.
Oh, they're in Australia.
No, no, I'm saying their departments. Like, do they stay
Oh,
overnight? Because we're having classes at 9 p.m. like from the morning till nighttime.
they commute.
Oh,
She said they commute.
yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the specific amount of hours. I'm be curious to see if it was similar in that way, but
Okay. Like, cause you guys stay there, right?
right, we're staying overnight.
Okay, okay. So it's like a full day thing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like if they're commuting, might only be there for like 3 or 4. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
why they extend it
six
out to
hours,
like
5 hours versus we're there
yeah,
for
It's a
24
boot
hours a day.
camp
yeah,
versus like just attending any sort of class, it
like
sounds
a
like.
college. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, that doesn't make sense. I never really thought about that.
There's a
Uh,
specific amount of hours that you must be certified in
mm,
and or taught to be qualified as a police officer in every different like section, like whether that be, combatives or, criminal law, like everything has to be a certain amount of hours, which is a state
gotcha,
minimum set across.
Did you
gotcha,
feel
gotcha.
prepared after your training for what the job actually entailed?
Um, no, I don't. Not in the fact that I was not prepared to like knowledge wise, yes, but the job is not in a book. Like there's no like you're
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gonna get this call and you're gonna handle it this way.
yeah.
It's you're learning on the job, like how to deal with
I
certain
mean, no
different.
job is. I think.
Yeah, and they
Well,
they
I mean, that one particularly so, I would say.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna go to at any given time, so it's kind of hard for them to teach you every single type of call you're gonna see. But there's an on the job training, so it's 45 working days. Some departments have 6 months, depending on the department. Ours was 45 working days, so somebody will sit with you for 45 days and assist you all the way through until the end. That's also it's called FTO, Field Training
okay.
Officer Program, and that's also very intensive. Like in the beginning, they're kind of walking you your hand, right? At the end of it, they're not saying a word, they're just writing down like what you do and what you don't do, and
And you
people
kind of
have
get an evaluation
people have failed out of that. Like it happens pretty
mm.
often.
for
They're very
things
So
strict.
somebody asked.
like not interacting with the community properly, like that sort of thing, or
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, I mean, obviously being like rude is like an issue, or like
sure.
violating someone's civil rights would be a pretty big step in. We'll step in with stuff like that. I'm a field training officer.
Okay.
Mm.
I'll
So
give you.
that's okay. So somebody asked the same person from Australia. So they're like, well, are U.S. police required to do regional work? And regional work is so you relocate to a country town for a bit and train there with low socioeconomic areas. So that's pretty much what it is, right? Like you're training with the community kind of type area type thing.
So that's just what I understand the question. Are we required to train in low economic areas specifically to
Like
understand?
they're asking, like, do you like? I guess regional work is working. I think
It
They're
sounds
just
like
using
they
lower,
take,
like
yeah, it sounds like
community
they
work.
take you from where you are and where you would serve normally, and they place you somewhere else. Maybe that's different than it, just to give you a better feel.
I think that's an interesting, I think
Right.
that'd be a good idea, but that's not how we do it here. You sign up
Okay.
for
Yeah.
the agency that like you want to work for. So if you want to work in a, a slower state, excuse me, slower city or town, then you would apply for that one and be
Okay.
have police officers and have jurisdiction in that town or city specifically. We do have state police, which is, they have statewide jurisdiction across the entire state. And we have local police, which have jurisdiction in their own state specifically. But as a local police officer, it doesn't make you lesser or anything. It's just a different type of job. You do have jurisdiction in another state if you witness a felony. So like no misdemeanor crimes you can't do anything about, or like
Mhm.
infractions. But they can also follow you into another state if you commit a crime and detain you there, and then maybe bring you back depending on where the crime was committed, or call the other agency in to take over the investigation.
Kyra, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. We're just trying to like working working through like the beginnings, like just kind of get through everything. He's asking about ice, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
And like j- since Rome is still active duty, we're not gonna ask him anything like that he doesn't feel comfortable answer. We're not gonna go there. So he has like full, I'm not interrogating the guy. Like I'm just
Right.
Appreciate
I'm just glad he's here to talk about whatever he feels talk about. So what I started late. That's my fault. My stream was crashing down. He already kind of did a introduction, but I'll just do like a quick one. So he was
I don't know.
he
That's why
worked.
you have to join on all the factors because we've been here this whole time.
Yeah, okay, relax.
Come
It was
on,
my
man.
camera. It wasn't fucking working. Rome, you want to just like do like a quick one,
Yeah, yeah.
like just your background and whatever.
My name is Rome. I've been a law enforcement officer as a sworn capacity for 5 years. So, like on patrol and working as a sworn officer. And then prior to that, I was a correctional officer for 2 years. So, I work in the prison system, dealing with inmates and stuff like that, supervising inmates.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you missed, and then you kind of caught up to where we are
Yeah.
now. Um, I lost track of what we were even talking
Okay.
about.
We're
That's
flowing.
Well, I'm curious about
Yeah.
like how you
No,
work
that's
with.
cool. That's cool. Can you talk about correctional stuff? Is that all right? They want to
Yeah.
ask about correctional stuff.
Um,
Yeah. What do you want to ask? Ask away, and then we'll talk about it. Um, no, that's cool. Like, so a lot of people will. So you could do a lot of like civil rights stuff and stuff like that, and then like if people don't like fully understand it, do you think that's like a state thing, or is that like you think like a national level thing where if people really aren't understanding
they're like,
the civil rights stuff, like you know what I mean, like that they
we're all taught
I think
certain.
Connecticut is what I guess like what I'm asking is like do you think your agency is better at that than the other ones? Do you think
I
that like
will not
is
speak
there
whether our agency is better or worse. I don't know. I never worked for other agencies. I've worked
okay?
with other agencies, and every police officer from every agency I've worked with has been very intelligent and is aware of their job. But I have seen videos online, and I would never Monday night quarterback somebody. But like I just see people's civil rights being violated, and I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to study that as a police officer. Like I'm not gonna be a doctor and not continue my education. Like
Y-
things are
Yeah.
changing with different types of medicine, different conditions, different
Yeah.
ways to treat things. It's the same way here. Also, case law is updated. If there's a new Supreme Court, case that changes the way we do a certain thing, you got to know your stuff. Like
Yeah.
after the Police Accountability Act, we can't use chokes to subdue unless we're in fear of imminent death or like grave or severe bodily injury.
Mm.
Which is
That's kind of what I also wanted to ask too is do you guys like update like on a yearly basis, like you got to go through like certain amount of hours yearly or like every 2 years, like how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know the exact, but we are trained yearly. We certify with firearms. The agency does twice a year. We do have to take classes in regards to like just so many different things. Case law, like I said, dealing with all types of different types of people within our community, the disabled community, elder community, um, you name it, like different religions, different backgrounds. So we get that type of training as well, and
Hmm.
that's on a yearly basis as well. And also every 5 years as your post certification or your police officers of standards and training is what it's called. Post, the acronym. You have to do like a long week course as well.
Okay. All right. So here's a question. So what's his perspective on private prisons? Are they generally rougher than the alternative, or if it's more efficient from a CEO's perspective?
I've never worked in a private prison. To be honest, I really don't. I have a limited knowledge on what that would be like. I can tell you what it's like at a state-funded prison.
Hmm.
I was at a dormitory facility, which is kind of low level, which means there's 116 inmates per one officer. It's
Wow.
definitely
Wow, that's a
challenging
lot.
a
Yeah,
lot.
that ratio is crazy to me.
It is, and I mean, we have like rovers that
Imagine
rove.
getting jumped by 116 people. That's kind of too much.
Be a lot. Yeah, definitely not something I'd want to do. But as a correctional officer, I feel like you learn to communicate with people really well because you understand, even if you don't like it's not conscious, you subconsciously understand that you are outnumbered. So you
Yeah.
got to be
Okay.
really smart how you interact with them. Otherwise, they're not going to respect you or listen to you, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a whole thing. So you kind of learn how to like hear that line of like, listen, like I have a job to do here. You're going to listen to
Yeah.
what I tell you, but
Yeah.
as well as like let's cohabitate here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the
like
thought that
you're.
I have on that, and you don't have to like agree or disagree, you don't have to react to it at all, but my concern is with some people, some COs in a situation like that, it might make them be more jumpy, more quick to things like violence. I mean, that's just a thought that I have from that. But again, you don't have to respond if you don't want to.
Well, I mean, I could see that, and like, I've never been that type of officer. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say I've seen that. I don't know, but I could see that happening. It makes sense. I don't think that this is the job for you if you're gonna respond that way. Like, if I go
Yeah.
to
I would
a dangerous,
agree. I would agree.
I train, like, I exercise. Like, I just came from the gym now. I train martial arts. I've been training martial arts. Nav knows I've been training martial arts since I was very young. Um, I trained to be the police officer that I would want come to help my mom if necessary. In
Yeah.
both, in not only physicality, but like mentally, as well as like how I communicate. Like that's just what I want. That's the type of cop I want to be. And I think 9 times out of 10, that's every officer that I know specific, like personally. I don't know any cop that comes here and is like, I came to do this job just to get a badge and hurt people. Like I don't know any.
Right. I mean, I would hope. Right.
Yeah,
No,
Right.
that like
that's the
no,
narrative,
no, but
typically.
yeah, no, that's exactly where I was gonna go. I think that's interesting, and I think that's partly like the media's like because this is such a bigger conversation, and again, you don't have to talk about it, right? Like, because what you think, like the CNN is going to show a clip of you helping a grandma across the street, you know what I mean? Like that, of course they're not. So, the video that do get shown a lot of times are like when a cop has like the George Floyd situation, right? Like, so that creates that does I totally get that. Like that does create this perception that a lot of cops are out there, and sure, there could be like just because you haven't met one or like I
Right.
haven't met one like that. There
No,
could be out there, and but
I
my
mean, it's
question then goes
extremely,
into
I'm sorry, it's extremely like you're dealing with an extremely diverse amount of people, and I mean, like, emotionally, mentally diverse. I mean, I mentioned I'm a social worker. There was a point in time where I was working with adult protective services, and there was a lot of situations where we were procedurally required to involve law enforcement. That could have been for a variety of things, whether the allegation had something like firearms in the, directly in the allegation, or if some, a person was expressing like suicidal ideation, things like that. And I will say like 99% of the police officers that I interacted with were good and compassionate towards the individual. But there were also a handful who acted like they were so exasperated by even having to be there. I never saw any direct, like, constitutional human rights violations, but I saw a lot of attitude and things like that, not wanting to be there, being slightly disrespectful to somebody who is um, requiring a lot of patience, I will say. Again, I don't know if that's something you would want to speak to or have thoughts on, but I just thought I'd put that out there just as like a personal anecdote.
yeah. Can I ask you a question, and then can I also give you a statement and answer that question?
Yeah.
As a social worker, 'cause I've worked hand in hand with social workers as well, and you mentioned that like some of your procedural duties or responsibilities would be to have a police officer there based on the type of crime or offense, correct?
Yeah.
Do you would you have felt comfortable responding to those some of those situations without the police?
I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, there were some where, I mean, the one I said directly, I had an allegation once where the older adult, the elder person, lived in a home with someone who the allegation said had a lot of firearms, and they were into this, that, and the other thing. That's what the allegation said, and we have to take it as gospel truth when we get it. That one, yes, because I didn't know what I was walking into, but at the same time, it's kind of similar in that I had to walk into several situations where I didn't know what I was getting into, and I practice in a very rural area, so I also had several instances where I just had to kind of roll with the punches. I've had been out in the middle of nowhere and had grown men screaming in my face, wagging their finger this close to my face, like in situations where I couldn't necessarily protect myself and I had to just de-escalate the situation. So it's kind of like, it's hard for me to say because I'm like, I did have to deal with a lot of situations that I didn't have the backup of cops because I didn't know I would need it. So it's like yes and no. I'm lucky enough. I'm saying I've never been in a situation where I had law enforcement make it worse, even if it was I brought them in because of a mental health crisis. Usually, when that happened, it was always helpful. The police officers that responded helped me to get the person to the hospital or where they needed to go. So it's very situational, I would say.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think there's been a push, and me and Nav discussed earlier that of like we need to kind of take police away from these types of situations, these type of mental health calls specifically. But like you mentioned, you don't know what you're gonna get when you get there, and
Absolutely.
they escalate very, very quickly. And I don't know if you can attest to this as a social worker, but de-escalation isn't the solution all the time. Like there are people who will not be de-escalated. Like you could say everything right in the book. If you are someone who has a serious mental health illness, there's no logic or reasoning with some of these people. Like if you have a condition, like I can't reason with you. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I think I have never encountered that personally, but that's also, I feel like, a privileged thing to say because I haven't encountered somebody who was in, say, like a full blown, like,
Mental health
they
crisis.
didn't know where they were. They didn't, they thought that I'm coming after them. Nobody who I responded to saw me as an enemy, but I know that people, obviously, social workers do encounter that all the time. I think a few things, I don't know if necessarily I would believe that police response is always the answer to that. I would say maybe we have a better system that it's not just one bachelor's level social worker out there on her own. It's like, why can't we have like a more team approach? Obviously, that would require a lot of funding, and we don't have that right now because that's not what we prioritize. But there's things like in my view of things, there's things that we can try before we bring in like
Yeah, yeah,
cops,
we should.
armed people in general.
I do agree with that. I just have worked with social workers, and they have always told us like we like when you're here. Like they always call
Yeah.
us first. We can't make it, and like we're dealing with someone else. They'll try on their own, and then if they need us, they'll call us. 9 times out of 10, they're like, "Hey, like, can you just come and just stand by just in case?" So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, it would be like what if a situation did happen and social worker did get seriously injured, like in our state per se? Does that now change the statute? Are other social workers going to feel comfortable doing that? Know what I mean? Like if you see a social worker, working from a town over get viciously beaten and or murdered at a situation, now are you gonna just go to work the next day and be like, well, why not gonna happen to me? Like you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I mean, we do because we have to. I mean, that's the job, right? Like,
It's the same thing with us. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, there is a lot of overlap, and actually, one of the things that I wanted to hear about from you is how you interact with other disciplines out in your job. So we talked a little bit about social workers. If you have more that you wanted to share about working with social workers, that would be great. But I'm also interested in any other professional that you were. I imagine that you're working a lot with paramedics, with hospitals, maybe even like local government. If you have any like or anything, any other disciplines that you can think of, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
We'll start with social workers since we're discussing them. I love social workers. They help us a lot all the time. Like they do take
Uh,
things off the plates.
Cairo
I'm sorry.
wants you to also speak on how you interact with lawyers, and he says LOL. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, no, they're fine. So we work with social workers all the time. I love what they do. I think that not everything is a police issue. You know what I mean? Like realistically, I come in, people see like the use of force for us is like our presence, right? People will react to our presence, whether they become
Yeah.
defensive, if they're scared, and they can react aggressively based on that. So if a social worker can go in who's doesn't have that authority or make them feel fearful, then that's great. Also,
Yeah.
there are situations where people may not be, although they have committed a criminal act, they're not like criminals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They're mental health patients or have a some type of illness that they're fighting or battling or an addiction or whatever the case may be. And if I can go in first, and if I have to make an arrest based on my statute or statutory requirements, that's fine. But then if I can put you in touch with them and you can assist them with, their substance abuse issues or, their mental illness, they can get on the right medication or whatever the case, I think that's great because it also stops the repeat calls for us. It is just a mutually beneficial thing that happens, right?
Absolutely. I
I
can't
feel
tell
good.
you the amount of times that I did have to call, and the officer that responded already knew the person that I was.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
a lot
They're
of
like,
repeat.
they're like, hey Joe, how's it going? And I'm just like, okay,
We
hey.
know we know what days and times they're gonna call. Like
Mhm.
we have regulars, unfortunately, and that's
It,
a
it
whole
is
nother
unfortunate.
issue.
I don't mean to laugh about it because
Yeah,
it is
it's
unfortunate.
sad,
But
but and what was the question that they asked about lawyers?
yeah, how do you
Yeah.
interact with lawyers?
I have really good friends that are lawyers. I understand if I'm on the other end of something, like if it's a private attorney who's defending a client, like it's business. You know what I mean? They're gonna try to rip through my report and make me look foolish on the stand. That's their job, and my job is to write a good report, go in there and try to speak as clearly and accurately as possible to make myself seem like a credible police officer to, know, I guess like prove my case. It's a
Sure.
mutual battle. It is what it is. It's not personal. I've been on the opposing end of a really good attorney, and as a young police officer, maybe didn't write the most detailed report, and it is what it is. And you learn from that.
That's
And
a lesson learned fast, I guess, right? Like,
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
oh, I was just saying that's like a lesson learned fast. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
learn one time, like, oh, I could be up against somebody like a really good attorney. I
yeah.
have to really
And
write this. That's funny.
then you gotta be a good cop too. Like you gotta know your stuff. You gotta get in there, be educated, know your case law, know what you can and can't do if you violate someone's rights. It could be fruit of the poisonous tree, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term.
Mm-mm.
It's a law term. It means evidence gathered by an illegal means, and any evidence gathered since that point is
Not
fruit of the
useful.
not
Gotcha.
useful. So an entire case, like I investigate sex assaults and child abuse cases, and I make a mistake. That's a serious mistake.
That's a
If someone,
Yeah.
person who should not be on the streets who's still out there. I did just want to let you know, Cairo says, duplicate roams, and I'm sure police would be more helpful in some areas. So that's a big
repeat that
compliment
question.
to you. He says if he's basically saying if we could just take you and like copy you like 1,000 times and make a force, like
Oh, really?
then police would be good. So
You're getting compliments. You're getting
Thank you.
yes,
compliments.
Thank you.
yes.
I do take
No,
this seriously. I do so.
yeah, no, listen, I think the way you talk about this stuff kind of shows it perfectly. And then that's why before that, he was like, did you take a PR class? Because you got like really good fucking answers. No, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like we've known each other since 2010, right? It's
Yeah, it's
16
been a
years
while.
we've known each other, right? So I've always known this. You know what I mean? I've known you were a good person. Um, and like good people should be in jobs like yours, like responsible jobs that impact on society on such a micro and a macro level, right? But I kind of want to go back to what we were talking about earlier, where we're talking about. I guess we'll kind of get into it, right? Like when our conversation earlier, like when we were talking about maybe taking police away from situations uh, where they're not meant to be dealing with mental health crisis. So I'll I'll explain the policy that Zoran, the New York in New York. New York is obviously much bigger than like other cities, right? Like it's fucking 8 million people. Imagine trying to police that. Like it's insane.
Chaos, controlled chaos.
Um, right, right, and controlled loose, super
Right, right.
loose.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and you tell me if you think this is good, right? I think what their plan is, internet. Maybe you can jump in. I think maybe you, because you like the domestic stuff and I do the foreign stuff. So, um, you know, what their plan is right now, the way it works, like perfectly as you described it, right? Like there's a social worker going in, and you guys are kind of like the backup to make sure like the situation doesn't escalate. Because again, you're right, you're 100% right. Like when escalations happen, it's like that. Like it was calm, and then it's like now somebody is about to get hurt. Like it doesn't, like nobody called you like, hey, I'm about to hurt this person. You want to get here? You know what I mean? Like nobody talks about that. So. Um, but I think what they're trying to do is like instead of it's just the full responsibility of cops, right? Like if there's somebody's having a mental health crisis, there's no social worker going in. It's just like the cops are just going in to handle that situation, right? And and I think and I had a thought when you guys were talking. I think Annette approaches a situation like a social worker approaches a situation because they've been trained in a certain way. They don't get the military training that you guys get, right? They don't think about like, hey, like their options aren't the military option, or like a force option is probably like a 10th option for them, right? Like they
Right.
got to go through all these, whereas it's not for you guys. Like you guys are like, hey, maybe we try to de-escalate this. If it doesn't get de-escalated, like okay, we just shut it down. Like,
Yeah.
am I wrong in that thinking?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, a social worker that I don't even know if procedurally you guys are allowed, or like if it's in your guidelines to like defend
I
yourself in
no,
what
not when I was working. It
yeah,
we
I
weren't.
don't know, but I mean, for us, yeah, I also think it's important. Excuse me, I think it's beneficial to stop force right in the beginning. Like if I sense like imminent force has to be used, I need to be the one that uses it first and then control the individual rather
Yeah,
than letting them potentially go grab a knife. Now I'm forced to use deadly force.
yeah,
Does that make sense? Versus if I am
I
competent in
agree.
my abilities and my physicality or in my training and jujitsu, whatever the case may be, I see someone make a move towards a weapon or something, I can grab them, secure them, and make sure
Yeah,
that we're both not hurt. But a lot of
yeah,
times people will let these things escalate, like this
yeah,
individual's walking around, clenching.
yeah,
There's pre-fight indicators that, as a police
yeah,
officer, you be aware of: clenched jaw, clenching your fist, bladed
yeah,
stance,
yeah.
numerous things. And I'm not sure if social workers are trained on those things.
No,
So you're
no,
telling
and
me?
I no, I don't. At least like when I was doing this, if you weren't, and I don't think they still are, right? Like, because that's just not where the thought goes.
I
And I
mean,
think you guys said it.
yeah, there's training that shows like that teaches you how to like pinpoint if somebody's going to escalate further, like think like signs of agitation that are maybe more subtle, like he said, like somebody walking around with like clenched fists or just like kind of staring off or something like that. We are trained to notice that. It's just we are a little more limited in what we can do. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't preemptively like put force on someone. I can react
Yeah,
defensively, of course. If somebody puts me in a headlock, I can elbow them to get
yeah,
out. Like the state's
that's
not going to dictate
normal.
that I have to get choked to death. But
Yeah, yeah,
but we are more limited. And of course, I mean, we don't have weapons on us. It's illegal for us to like you can't show up. You can't even have like you can't show up to a call with like a pocket knife or something. Like you would get in huge trouble for that. Um,
Yeah,
so
it's
and I
that's
just
kind
think
of the
I'm
difference.
in so in like your response to like if you feel like an imminent threat is coming, like can you react first, or how would that look as a social worker?
The guidance is to remove yourself.
Right. When
yeah.
feasible, I would assume, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I think I
definitely
think
a tough
I
situation.
think that's what I was always told is like, well, if something's happening, you got to just take yourself out of the situation, right? I think the one time I'll tell this story, I guess. I think one time that I was put in a situation like this, it was just I was sitting across from my client, and we're just and then there's like other people around too, and like another coworker because I worked in a more of a like a closed facility. I wasn't out in the field. Like we were there with our clients. Like they lived there. And we're just sitting on a picnic table and we're just having this conversation. I haven't said anything, and my client sitting across from me hasn't said anything, and all of a sudden he just smacks the shit out of me and breaks my glasses.
I
So
forgot
yeah,
about that.
like that. That's the reality of the world that I don't
Yeah,
think people
Yeah.
see. And
Yeah.
it's it's not it's the wild wild west out here. And
yeah.
as things in our economy have
Mm.
gotten worse, I mean, more people turn to substances, and it's tough out here. We can't afford their
And
medication.
that's another thing we should probably talk about too, like fentanyl and stuff. Because that is crazy too. But no, like, but in that situation,
What do you
like,
do?
he was just quiet. Like, there was no like
So,
indicators or anything like that. It was just a sunny evening, and we're just sitting there. You know what I mean? Like, we're just sitting there.
Yeah.
that's
Um, but I
what
think what you
what's
guys
your
said,
response though? I'm curious as to like in that situation, like
like, what was my response?
yeah, like what do you do if you didn't do it that time, or if you want to talk about it, say it happened now, like what is the proper response as a social worker, like in that moment?
I so like, well, uh, he just smacked me, and he just sat back down.
So even in our position,
Yeah.
we can arrest the individual, but nothing can be punitive. I can be held accountable if I go
Yeah.
punitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like nothing happened to him. He was still fine, and I just was like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know what I mean? Like it was just like surprise. So like we didn't do anything. I wasn't like ready to like tackle him or anything like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That wasn't. Well, we weren't allowed to. We weren't allowed to put our hands on him or anything like that. I don't. Were we in that? Like we couldn't hold him down, right? Like that wasn't the thing we were allowed to do.
I certainly wasn't out in the community. You
No,
were
I
probably
don't.
the facility that you were at was probably too low of a level to allow for that.
Yeah,
And I mean, you have to get to like a pretty high like level of like supervised care for that to
yeah,
be
yeah. To
allowable.
be allowed.
And
Yeah.
They were functional. They were like high functioning people.
how do you feel about your ability to like deal with that though? Like I know you guys don't get combative training. Like how do you feel?
No.
Like I don't know if you've ever been in a fight, like a real fight
Yeah.
against someone
Yeah.
who may be bigger
I
or
gotta
whatever.
show you a video one of these days. Yeah. At
I
the
mean,
store.
like yeah,
It
I believe you. Yeah.
it does feel vulnerable, and I think that's why social workers are one of the groups that like when there is like a um I guess popular for lack of a better word or notable instance of like police violence, social workers are a group that get pretty angry about that and speak out about that because we're like we're going into the same situations with so much less protection, yet I mean the social worker, like the rate at which social workers are like killed on the job isn't all that high, and we're obviously not hurting anybody while we're out there, so it's like there's got to be something that can be done.
No,
Instead.
like I mean that's what we're taught a lot too is like mental health individual when they're having a lot of like a breakdown or anything like that. They're more danger to themselves to than anybody else, right?
Right.
Like any
More
like
times than not, but
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah, I
suicidal
think it's high.
suicidal and homicidal is a thin line, in my experience in this profession.
Yeah. Yeah.
But an
Sure.
interesting point you made in that is you said that social workers aren't, getting into these violent incidences, these use of force cases. But we did discuss that you guys aren't called to everything. Like you're not going to be called to a domestic.
Of course. Yeah. No,
You're not
I
gonna,
absolutely understand that. Yeah, yeah. I can really only speak in the context of a of like a mental health crisis or something like that.
and the reality is those really aren't the cases that use of forces are like severe. Like the
I don't
reality
know if that's
a lot of times.
necessarily true, especially I think there's been an uptick, especially for people who have diagnoses of like autism or some sort of neurodivergence because their
I'll be
behavior
right back.
is so difficult to, I guess, detect, if that makes sense.
I mean, and we were actually taught specifically on how to deal with people with autism, like stimming and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but again, I pay attention and I like take notes and I learn. So
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
for but I mean, I think one of the in my personal experience as a police officer, a lot of the cases where I'll end up using force will be like domestics or like more
Okay.
like high situations. I mean, they're people are emotionally, really emotionally involved, and they're
Hmm.
responding purely off that. Maybe, and a lot of times with people under the influence. So I
Yeah,
don't.
no, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me that it would be. I guess I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood, like, I didn't interpret what you were saying 100% correctly, because you're saying, like, if we took like a handful of the cases, like the calls that you take,
Right.
and we looked specifically at the ones where like force was used, any sort of force was used, like you said, they would mostly be domestic situations or things like that. Whereas I took it as like overall, like, so that's kind of what I was trying to get at, that, there are high or escalating incidences, I guess, especially for
Oh,
people with autism.
yeah.
So
I
that,
mean,
well, I'm glad we kind of cleared that a little bit so that we're both
no,
on
you're
the
fine.
same page there.
Working it out. I mean,
Um,
it's our first time discussing things, so we
sure,
gotta
sure.
learn about each other too. But yeah, I think mental health cases are tough, and I don't like restraining somebody is. Do you consider that like a use of force? I mean, technically it is under like our guidelines, but is it like if an
Not,
EM
not one
hits
that I would find
an
necessarily
individual
concerning. I'm mostly like
overuse?
limiting to, yeah, like something that resulted in a death or an injury, serious
Okay,
injury.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, just like I would assume 10 out of 10 social workers. I would assume because I feel like that's one of those jobs you don't get into with all due respect for the money.
Yeah, yeah.
With all due respect. So I know that if you sign up for that job, more times than not, you're a person who genuinely wants to help. So you're not going to go there with, like some type of anger or animosity. You're going to go there with very understand. I'm sure they teach you to understand and kind of like come from that type of approach. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, empathy is pretty much a major foundation of like our bachelor's degrees. But I mean, I didn't mention it when you said it, but initially when you said like you didn't feel prepared to just go out there for the training, like that was the most relatable thing I've ever heard because it feels the exact same way. Like, you're taught theory, you're taught all this,
Yeah.
you're taught about empathy, you're taught about all this de-escalation, even more practical stuff. But then you get put out there and you're just like,
Like,
oh, I have to deal with a real human now,
It doesn't work.
So,
None of that.
yeah,
None
no
of
other
that
yeah,
works.
response. You're like gonna have to go off. You're like
yeah.
riff,
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
reckon I can't ask him that. That's he's not going to talk about that. I
whatever.
can't ask him that. She said, "Can I ask Rome style on indigenous people being incinerated at a higher rate? Does he think they're
Incarcerated.
incarcerated,
Incarcerated.
not incinerated? Right? Sorry,
God, where's this
incarcerated.
happening at? I
Sorry,
can
not gonna read.
talk about this only. No, yeah,
Nobody
I
instantly
unfortunately,
vaporized.
unfortunately, yeah, I'm not gonna speak on that regard. I
Yeah,
do
no,
want
I
to
don't.
mention something you mentioned earlier in that you spoke about police officers. You feel as though they're like exhausted or like um, you know, have some type of dismay about being there. You mentioned something along those lines. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's a chore. Is that?
Yeah, I feel like they're burnt out. Just like a lot
Yeah,
of us in like public service, like,
in
and
general,
I
yeah.
have empathy for it, like, because I've gone through the same thing. Like, I've also worked in like homelessness services, and it's like I'm always underfunded. I'm asked to perform miracles with nothing, And I feel like you guys are probably in the same boat. So it's not that I don't have empathy for those officers that I interacted with, but I think there were some times where it can approach unprofessional, So,
I'm
but
not
I
gonna.
think, I mean, from this conversation with you, I would take that you would, if you encountered an officer who was behaving that way, you would feel the same way I do. And you have
Yeah,
like some power to say something about it too. So, I mean, it's,
yeah. I mean, I can understand, like just like you said, you can understand like the burnt out feeling, and I get it. But if you're really feeling like that, then you gotta check yourself. Like I go to work, I turn on like Cop Me. You know what I mean? Like I gotta be a professional. I gotta be
Oh,
the
caught
rock.
me. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah, I
understand
was
what you
like,
said
is it a
first.
game you play? Like, did it like a
Yeah.
podcast you
No,
put
no, I
on?
Give
gotta
us
What
a
is
be
that?
like a police
second.
officer version of myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I think most police officers do this. I've actually never had this conversation. I probably should with some, but like I turn on a version of me that is different than like Nav. You probably know is me, right? Like
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
be the one that under fire, under stress, under everything. I got to be the one that's handling business. Like there's no
Storm.
questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm handling
Yeah,
business.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sure, like we go home safe, and hoping I would never want to hurt anybody. But
yeah,
the reality is I may be put in that situation,
Yeah.
yeah,
and I have to be ready to do that if necessary
yeah,
to
yeah.
save someone's life, to save my life, save an officer's life, anybody's your life. It doesn't matter. I have to be able to.
Absolutely. And if you do have a conversation like that with some of your coworkers, I'd be really interested to know what they say. So if you
Yeah.
do start having those conversations, to tell Nav, I would be super
Yeah.
interested to know what people say.
Or come back anytime.
Or come back.
Anytime you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. Sorry, you're welcome back anytime, of course.
And then when
Yeah,
I leave too, there's like a period of time where I'm like turning it off, and it's not a switch.
yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
relaxing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then I'm like,
So you
okay.
you do like so. I mean, can you talk about that a little more? What's your work-life balance? Like, how do you turn it off? Because
I know what his work-life balance is. It's my
because I'm
fucking like his work-life balance is what my brother does too. I know how he de. No, I'm just kidding, God.
Um, I
what?
mean, like, no, she says I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
no, I mean, like, I enjoy myself just like anybody else. I go out to dinner. I have, hang out with the boys. Hang out with a girl. Whatever the case may be. I'm just a normal person. I exercise. I train martial arts. I read a lot. I'm very interested in psychology, so I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books on leadership. Um,
Very
yeah,
cool.
man, I'm not too.
Oh, what I was trying to say is like I'm usually next to my brother and he'll get a text from Rome. Are you trying to go out, bro? That's how he fucking relaxes.
I enjoy hanging out with my people, man. Like I love being
Yeah,
around my,
yeah,
my friends and my family. So I'm an only child too. So like, I mean, I have half siblings, but I grew up an only child, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I like being around my people.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty much it for me. Nothing too crazy.
Well, good. I'm
oh,
glad
so
that you have stuff that works for you, so that you can be on when you need to be on, and then off when you need to be off, so that you're not like
Yeah,
so that's not
constantly.
all blending and burning you out.
I think it's important for like some people will identify with the job as who they are. I don't. I'm
Mm-hmm.
me, the cop. I'm just
person.
me. I'm just me,
Yeah,
who
Yeah.
happens to
yeah,
also be a police officer,
Yeah.
yeah,
coincidentally. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I think there are people who identify with the badge, and I think that creates that like that's what creates the stigma. Like if you, for example, someone sees me as a police officer and flicks me off, which by the way happened the other day, like just for no reason. It happens pretty regularly, to be honest. Kids will just drive by and like I don't know if I can curse on here. Can I curse on
Oh
no,
yeah, go for
you
it. We
do
do it
good.
all the time.
here? In the context of explaining, yeah, they'll be like "fuck you, pig," and I'm just like, "Have a good day." I mean, that's my response. Like, "Have a good one, man. You
Yeah.
need anything? I'll help you." No, okay. Well, and they'll just
Yeah,
cause issues. And but I think someone who identifies with the badge, like that's who they all they are. Like that's a direct attack on them, right? And then they feel the
Yes.
yeah,
ego is gonna
Yeah.
respond in pride, and only have to respond that way.
yeah,
Which I'm just like,
That's a really good
whatever.
yeah.
point.
I'll still go.
That is true.
I'll
That's a
still
good
run in
point.
a house fire and try to save you. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
Like I'll still do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
when people respond in a negative way towards me, I always just look at it like more of a reflection of their life. Like if you're an unhappy
yes.
person, then you're probably gonna be mean like that. Like I'm not. So God bless you, man. I wish you the best, and I hope whatever has you acting like that, it fixes. Like
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it
absolutely.
could just be like their experience, like that they've had too. They
right,
could
right.
have had a bad experience. So like they're
Yeah.
not. They're probably not even looking at you. They're just looking at like the memory that they've had. You know what I mean? Like,
Or yeah,
no, totally.
experiences, or they could be going in mass amounts of debt. Like there's so many. Like their mom could have just died. Like whatever the case, and they're taking it on me. If
Yeah,
I have to be that one, I'll take it. Whatever.
yeah, yeah,
I got thick
yeah,
skin. I know who I am as a man. I'm like,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
ultimately, they don't even know you, right? So,
but
yeah.
yeah,
I can see. I'm not gonna say specific situations I've seen, but I can see how people will respond from their ego in those
yeah,
types of situations, and
Yeah.
then create a scenario where now it's like, fuck the police.
yeah,
Yeah.
You
No, what you're saying makes 100% sense to me. I have a lot. Obviously, social work isn't really one of those fields where people are like, this is who I am to my core, like, but like my family, like
Yo, fuck me social workers. These fucking
right, like
telling me to get help me and
I grew
shit.
up in a family that's heavily like everybody's a paramedic. Like there's a ton of paramedics, ton of firefighters, and it's kind of the same mentality. It's just like, this is who I am to my core, and if you say something negative against it, like I take that personally, So I totally get what you're saying, and I can see it. Obviously it's uh, those professions, they can't really use force, so it's still that same mentality being present in like the police force is still different. But I'm just saying, I totally understand where it comes from.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is me, but like the more I've like thought about it, because I think a lot, like all the time, pretty much. Can't turn my brain off. Benefit and also negative.
Yeah.
Um, but like, where's this disconnect coming from? It's coming from like the media creating this like ideology that police are bad, right? And all police are bad. You know what I'm saying? Like there are bad cops, there's bad teachers, doctors, whatever the case, you name it. There's but then the media creates this, the public hates the police, and what's the natural reaction by a police officer?
Yeah,
Like if every
defensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm driving my car and then
Yeah.
the people I'm sworn to protect, I signed up to like help out and do everything I can,
Yeah.
just flick me
Hate
off,
you.
like fuck me and hate me. It's like
Yeah.
I get it because I think a little bit more open-minded, but
Yeah.
things like that, and they're gonna take it more personal. Like fuck these people, like they don't even
Yeah.
care about like I mean it's just interesting, man. Like there's a
So
situation recently, um, where it's something I can think of now. I went to do a wellness check on somebody, and their mail piling up. They have like these prepackaged force or factor meals, or is that what it's called?
Okay. Yeah.
And there's like 4 boxes outside their house. So, the mail's piling up. The post office called because they were concerned maybe the person is deceased, which usually is the case when the mail piles up for weeks. Car hasn't been moved. We like, knock on the doors, go around the whole house, wait, call my sergeant. I'm like, hey, I don't know. Like, I easily could have just drove away and been like, hey, we have no right, whatever. It's gonna leave it alone. But if someone's grandmother, grandfather is deceased in this house, it's
yeah.
or they've fallen because that happens too, and they need
Yeah.
Yeah.
help. So we make entry into the house under the community caretaking function, which is our right. You don't need a warrant for situations like this. We've created enough evidence or reasonable suspicion that the person may be hurt or in danger, so we can enter on the house. Enter on the house. Even through force, the door's open.
Yeah.
So enter the door. I'm like, hey, anyone there? Hello? Step in. Whatever. The guy comes down. First thing he says is, or I said, hey man, I'm just here to make sure you're okay. If you're okay, I'm leaving. Boom. He goes, well, where's your warrant? I'm
Yeah.
like, you want to start this argument with me right now? Like,
You're
I'm
like,
not
I'm trying to get out the door now that I see that you're fine.
to help you.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's this win? So now, does a police officer take this and never want to enter someone's house again under that community caretaking function? Because I'm going to get that type of response from the public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it creates this like this battle.
Yeah.
You go to help
Yeah.
someone, they're like, fuck you. I'm like,
And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
someone
So
would only
what did you do in that
react.
situation though?
oh,
Like did you just walk out and then you just like,
yeah,
okay,
I'm just like
yeah.
on a
Yeah.
body camera call, everything's recorded. Talk to my sergeant
Yeah.
about. We can
Yeah.
do that. Like if that's one of our search warrant exceptions.
Yeah. I think
I
someone
think see
would.
that right there. Like I just want to make this a quick point. I think that right there is, and I wanted to bring this up earlier too. I think that's probably you saw he was okay, you just left, right? Like that's probably the best way to handle that situation because like if you
Argue back.
like
Yeah.
yeah, if you were in that mentality like dude, I'm just trying to fucking help you, like what the fuck are you doing, right? Like I'm just here to make sure you're alive, your dumbass is alive, right? Like at to be honest with you, I can understand that. I can understand that. Like, hey, I'm just trying to help you, man. Like, what are you coming at me so hard for, right? I can understand that. But and then on the other side, like, I'm trying to see like both sides of it. Like, I understand like if a cop does go like, all right, you're just being an asshole. Like, can you just calm down and we can just have this conversation? Like, what's bothering you? You know what I mean? But I can also understand like you the win-win in that situation is like, well, this dude is just like, yeah, all right, he's just mad I'm in his house, right? I'm just gonna take
Right.
myself out of that situation, right?
Hmm.
But how do you get there? How do we get there for every single cop? So like a cop that's having possibly a bad day because yeah,
It
like
happens.
you know,
You know?
like like you said, like a media will create this because like we already talked about it, right? Like they're not gonna show the good stuff. Like they're not gonna show you doing like a wellness check on somebody. You know what I mean? They're gonna show you
Fire
obviously.
like I have before. They're gonna show me, dragging
Yeah,
somebody out the woods
of
for a mile and
course.
a, you know what I mean? What there's so many types or acts of heroism
Yeah.
that police officers do on a regular basis that gets zero acknowledgement from our
Yeah.
department or the media, but that's fine because we don't do this for that reason.
Right,
You
right.
know what
But
I
I think you know the argument that somebody could make, and I can understand the argument too, is like, well, you know what you signed up for, right? So you're
Sure.
not doing this for a recognition. So like even though you are stressed, and like you obviously understand this because you know like, hey, I'm this is cop me. This is not like normal regular me. This is cop me, and that cop you has to be well trained,
Right.
right? Like the cop, you has to be professional, no matter the stress that might get put on you, right? Like, how do we get there? I think that's where people that have bad experiences with cop is because sometimes that version of a perfect cop, right? Like that you present yourself as, sometimes that breaks,
I will
and
put
it's okay.
I'm not
No, no,
perfect.
no. But I'm just saying, like
I'm
like
human. I make up mistakes.
no,
Like,
no.
okay.
I don't mean in that way. I just mean in like like how a cop responds to a situation in a good, maybe I won't use the word perfect, but in a good way where the public is happy, and then not
The
that like anybody will ever be happy. You know what I mean? Like
In a positive
like
way. Nobody gets
in a
hurt.
positive
You
way.
get your ego
Everybody
maybe
goes
gets a
home.
little bruised for 5 minutes, but everybody walks away
Yeah.
perfectly fine. No big
you
deal.
want to call me some names, man? Cool.
How do we get there? Like
And
how does, is it just more training, you think?
I think it's temperament.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
really do. I think like there are certain people who have naturally more like ego. Maybe certain people are more ego driven. Certain people have naturally aggressive. I mean,
Yeah.
you know me now. I've like I don't know. I have a naturally aggressive temperament. I do, but
Yes.
I'm also very calm and like laid back.
Yes.
Like it's a
Yeah.
switch for me. Like I walk
Yeah.
in there like this, and if you hit me in a situation where I need to use force, then it's a different me. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think that
Because I
that's
think you recognize it, like you recognize who you need to be in a situation, and I think that's what makes
Yeah.
you a good cop, right?
I don't
Like
need to show off or be tough guy. Like I'm soft. I'm
exactly.
a
But
weakling.
again,
Hey, like
as you were
great. Have a great
as you
day,
were
guys.
saying, yeah, as you were
I know
saying
ego,
though,
man.
right? Like
Ego.
somebody that embodies that role, like, oh, this, like, I'm a walking talking badge, you know what I mean? So
Right.
if you say something to me, you're tarnishing this person of me, and I respond with this authority that I have with this badge, right? I think that's where the disconnect with the public comes in, right? Like that's where you do get those civil rights violations, you do get those excessive force, right?
Right.
Like
I
uh,
also think it would be someone
the
who's already experiencing burnout who's going to react
yeah,
so negatively to something as simple as "Where's your warrant?" I mean, a lot of
yeah,
people are
yeah,
going to say that if you show up in their house because they're not going to think automatically, "Oh, well, this makes sense because I haven't been picking up my mail or my factor meals." Like
yeah,
they're going to think, "Why is this stranger in my house?"
yeah,
Like
If I tell you that first, you say, "Why are you here?" And then I explain the numerous reasons as
mm,
to why you're here. You have, 3 months worth of meals that
yeah,
are, on your front locked door.
yeah,
Your mail's
yeah,
not on your car's not hasn't moved. Like I'm just checking on you, brother.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But they don't see that though, right?
where's your warrant? I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, buddy. Have a great day.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but they're not gonna recognize that, right? Like if somebody random stranger walked into your house, like I could understand that guy. Like,
Right.
what the fuck are you doing here, bro? Like, what if he was walking around butt
Yeah.
naked and you walked in? You know what I mean? Like he's in a
yeah.
Call
vulnerable
or
position.
two. We call, hey, hello, police,
Yeah, yeah.
police. We don't just
Yeah.
enter the whole house like,
Yeah, yeah. To be
No,
fair,
I know, I
yes,
know. I'm
yeah,
like
just
that would
playing
be
a little bit of the devil's
yeah.
advocate, right?
But
Like,
we also don't want to run into those situations. Like we constantly will notify that we're here because I don't want to run into the situation where you perceive me as an intruder and you start pulling
yeah,
guns on me.
yeah,
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
what I'm thinking
That's
about. Like
scary.
you know what I
That's
mean?
very
So like,
scary. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
taking slow steps in. Hello, police. Hello, like
yeah,
all the way.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
can identify. Well, and also the reality is I'm going to untimely deaths on a regular basis where people haven't spoke to their loved ones in a couple weeks
yeah,
and having us do
yeah,
wellness checks, and then I find it a person deceased in their home for 3 weeks at a time in the summer, and imagine what that's like on a regular
yeah,
basis.
mm,
Like,
yeah,
and so I'm thinking like the worst, and realistically I'm thinking about this. This could be my family member, and I want a police officer that's going to investigate and not just be like, well, you know what, I don't have enough to go and like whatever and walk away because you
yeah,
can easily do that too. Like,
right,
oh, we'll come next week
yeah,
if they haven't answered.
yeah.
And
right. Like by next week, yeah,
where they're falling, they're hitting that, whatever. There's just so many different situations, and there
Yeah.
you also get the ones where people are so thankful that you did.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, of course.
it's vice
Yeah.
versa.
Wi-
It's
Yeah, it's just real life. It's just real
yeah.
life, kind of. So
But
no,
burnout, interesting thing about the police profession. I've only been, I mean, 5 years is a lot, right? But 20 years is a lot, a lot,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
like
yeah.
I can only speak, or excuse me, 7 years, I guess, if you want to include prison time that I served. Um,
Yeah, prison time.
Voluntary, yeah, yeah.
I was a part-time inmate. That's what I like to say.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
it
That's
feels like
funny.
definitely feels like it. But I really do think it's who you are as a person, man. Like I know dudes that
Yeah,
are 20 years that are just like, they got happy everywhere else, so they come to work happy.
Mm.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I could see it
No,
happening. I definitely could see the
yeah,
burnout happening.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think I think that has to be a huge thing. And again, like from this is why I wanted to have this conversation, really, because me and Annette, we do keep up with a lot of like, well, where's the problem, right? Like when you identify a problem, burnout is a huge problem. Police going above sometimes their authority is for sure a thing, right? Like that for sure happens, right? And how do we fix it? Like that's it's got to come to that. That's the question that we get right. Like, well, why is other countries like, and this is why it's kind of nice to have somebody from Australia like get that different perspective.
Mm.
I think it's about the and you could tell me if I'm wrong or not, or if I'm thinking about it this different way on this topic of burnout. I think we do need to people that are put in constantly high stress situations and we don't check their mental health. Like, hey, are you doing okay? Like on average, like what's the statistic? Like one person, a normal average American, will experience like one traumatic event every like what couple of years. Cops are dealing with like 800,000 on a yearly basis, right? That's gotta have some sort of impact on your mental health, right?
yeah,
Instead of like, and this is my thing, right? Like this is why I like the idea. Maybe you don't constantly send a cop in to do like wellness checks. Maybe they're just a backup and like they're working as a team, like you guys were talking about. Like that makes
I
sense to
think
me.
that's the key. I do. I think it's a team policing. I think like there's got to be a
Yes.
team of people, medical, whatever, all together.
Right.
Agreed.
Helps you
And that requires money,
work, right? And that's the issue, right?
and that's
Mm.
100% the issue.
Or issue
Um,
for most problems in this world, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people or the public that are anti-police, they think like, well, when a police is, and maybe to a certain extent this could be true, is when police forces do get funded or whatever, most of their funding will go into like fucking buying militaristic gear. Well, we don't maybe necessarily need armored tanks for cops. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's not where the correct money should go. Maybe it should go towards a dedicated health professional for a certain agency or a certain department. Like
Mm-hmm.
every department in across the country, every town that has a precinct should have a dedicated psychiatrist that they could talk to, right? Like shit like that would go a long way, or giving them correct time off, or hiring more police so they're like like for example in the corrections office, you got to be responsible for 116 people.
Yeah, it's
That's
tough.
fucking insane.
Yeah, it is.
It
It was.
shouldn't be like that, you know.
It was very tough. I used to have prison dreams. That was very interesting. Uh,
Okay,
Oh.
what is that?
just like dreams about being like in within those walls all day, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
you do
See what I
six
mean?
shifts there. You'd get a so you would work right for your shift, and then if someone called out and you were the new guy, you would start to
Yeah.
leave, and they'd be like, "Nah, come back." You do another eight, and
See,
like that
that's
would
like
make their day for
asking
nine.
people
Right?
to burn out.
That
like,
is asking people to break. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
no,
the lack of resources is just like it's putting such a strain on these systems.
Right.
and I have to
Right.
be very political on how I say this. I want to say a statement here.
Yeah.
Mm, there's money.
Yes.
Just
Oh
where
yeah.
they're not throwing all their money into police departments. Realistically, like you were
Yes.
saying, defund the police. Like if we deep dive into where the money's going, and it's not the
Yes.
police. It's there's a money abundantly available. It's
Yes.
but that's how they pinhole it. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that's where they want to target it. But if you start really reading into things, like Money's
Yes.
everywhere. It's just
I
Oh yeah.
I want to
I
say it.
think
You
you
know what I
have
mean? You can
correct
do
take.
your own research into that.
Yeah.
Look up our state's funding.
Yeah. No, I think you 100% have the correct take here, right? Like, and that's exactly my point too. Is like, there's money available. It just needs to be used correctly, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where it comes in. I have no problem. Like when people talk about like I have an issue with this. Like me personally, and that's where maybe my leftist sides come in, is like when people are talking about like, well, cut the taxes, cut the taxes. I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Like don't cut the taxes. Well, who do you think pays for your police? Who do you think pays for the fire department? Who do you think pays for the high school or the library? Like that's all
Oh,
your taxes.
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Roads, right? Hospitals, all that stuff. Like clean water in your fucking clean air in your lungs. Who pays for that? It's your taxes. It just used to be done correctly. Is your taxes being used properly? Right? Like that's where the thing has to be. You know, I want a well-funded police because the police job is to make sure I'm safe. Do you not want to be safe? It's just like
I
treat them like people. You
we agree
know?
with that. It's not often that we hear that. I think I have a weird like, double thing because I was very anti-police as a kid. Like I hated the police. I mean, you knew me as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I was a troublemaker. I was rebellious. I was not I'm if I could go back and talk to young me, there's not much talking that would have been had. Right? Let's just say that.
You're arresting yourself.
I'm
Put your hand behind your back.
I'm
What the
teaching
fuck are
some
you
hard
doing?
lessons. Some hard lessons because it would. Also, as a youth, though, you're gonna be like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Your prefrontal cortex or your decision-making part of
yeah.
your brain doesn't develop as a man, they say, until what, 25 or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that,
That's definitely true for me, at least. If that wasn't true for everybody, it was around
yeah.
that age where I just was like, I gotta, like, I want to have a family. Like, I want to have a future. Like, what am I
Yeah,
doing?
nobody thinks about that.
When you're
Mhm.
young,
Yeah,
you're invincible. I've become more and more aware of my mortality as I've gotten older. Like the fact that I'm aging
yeah,
and, things are changing and I need to set myself up, I don't have kids at this point, but set up my future kids' lives and like my mom, make
yeah,
sure she's good and, all
yeah,
these people that rely on me. So,
yeah. No, 100%, 100%. And
yeah, it's interesting.
right, it needs to be.
Yeah, go
Thing
ahead.
is, it needs to be just treated like anything else we treat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, hey, there's too many fires happening. Well, hire more fucking firefighters. You know what I mean? Like to fight the fire.
Hiring
Like,
thing is tough for us right now too because
yeah,
the society, and I don't know who to blame. I'm not going to blame the media or society or whoever, but I
yeah,
think we all have a role in this. You know what I mean? That's why
yes,
it's not like this. But who wants to sign up to be walking down the street and be like fuck you? Like who? What?
yeah, yeah,
Nobody. This
Mhm.
it's not hard to get good applicants at this point. Also, like
yeah,
pay is not. It's I can support myself. The pay is good. I think. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I can go to a
yeah,
tech job and make $180,000 a year
Right. Right.
you're
yeah,
at home every day. Like, what's the
yeah.
smart decision here?
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
yeah, 100%. You're right on that. I think,
candidates are tough right now.
yeah. And
I can imagine.
me and Annette, me and Annette were talking about this before we went live, exactly on this topic, right? I think it's the system that will kind of work, and you don't have to comment on this at all. It's the system that we're all working in, right? Like the issue with that, a lot of people that do say like, "Oh, fuck the cops" or whatever, and shit like that, is because it's just the way things are designed, right? Like it needs to be there needs to be some sort of change because everybody plays a pivotal role in this, and sometimes these roles, they're misunderstood, and the way somebody on the street that doesn't hasn't talked to you like this, right? Well, thinks, and I to a certain extent think this too, is cops in this fucking uh, in this country are like capital protector rather than people protector, right? Like that's whenever you see like a lot of these protests happen, somebody will be at a protest, and um there it, the I'll say it in this way. Maybe this will make a lot sense. Do you follow a lot of this the Palestine Israel issue? Do you know how familiar are you with this?
I think I'm relatively educated on the topic. I will not give my personal opinion on the
No,
topic.
no, that's not what I'm going to ask. Anyways, so a couple of months ago, there was a flotilla of a bunch of boats going towards Israel to break the blockade to get aid out there, right? And then Israel was going to intercept this. Countries across Europe were urging their, and in America too, but citizens were urging like their government, hey, like you got to go protect these people that are taking in aid, right? Rome was the example that I'm going to use. In Rome, uh, rather than like whenever there's like a mass protest happening, right? What's the image that you'll see in the media? It's like the protesters walking towards the cops, right? Like that's generally what will happen. You as somebody that's like going to be facing a bunch of protesters, if that was to ever happen, your thought is, hey, I gotta make sure everybody's safe. And, things stay relatively peaceful. Like nobody is like creating extra trouble. No buildings are burning down, right? Like
Right.
that's probably your thought, right? Like I'm sure most cops think that way, but it sets up this scenario, right? Like, well, you're just protecting fucking building while people are dying and you're against us. Like you're face to face.
Right.
In Rome, a lot of the cops, instead of doing that, instead of being face to face, they dropped all their riot gear and stuff and they walked with the protesters. Like, hey, no, we gotta there's horrible shit happening out there in this country, right? We need to stand with our people and demand something from our government, right? And I'm not saying like
Yeah.
like that. Obviously, that's like a rare thing to happen. But I think when stuff like when a public wants or is demanding something from their government, the government usually sends in the cops to stop that, suppress that, right? But like I know that's not how you see it. You just want to make sure everybody's safe and stuff like that. But like that's how everything is perceived because you're face to face. You're adversaries now. You've been turned into adversary against the people, and that is where a lot of the media perception or like the people perception, that's what comes in. He's like, hey, no, we're demanding something from our government, and they're using the cops to suppress those demands, right? Like that's how it gets set up.
Mm,
You can say whatever you want. That was just kind of my like rant a little, but
no, no,
I
it's.
think
I think that there's a line like there's, are we peacefully protesting or are we destroying and burning a city?
yeah. No, no, but we're talking about peaceful
Yeah.
protests here. Yeah.
Well, the problem that and again, I can't speak for every single scenario, and I
Yeah.
try my best to be as unbiased as I can be. It's as a police officer, right? Because I think I'm a civilian first. Like I'm just me, but I have a
Yeah.
job to do, right? But
Yeah.
these situations that I'm seeing is they're not peaceful, most of them. Like they're
Yeah.
destroying their neighborhoods and the people's businesses. Not every time, and I'm not, what I mean? I'm not saying every time, but a
Hmm.
lot
Yeah.
of these situations are, or they're blocking roads, which those are accesses to hospitals and schools, and people have families. What if I got to go see my mother in the hospital who's dying, like God forbid, and like the people
Yeah.
don't understand, like you're just blocking the road because you have a government interest that you want to change, right? But like at the same
Yeah.
time, like people's lives are being affected, so we have to. How am I supposed to get to a 911 call if you're blocking the road? Like, how do I
Yeah.
do do I get to your
No,
mom with
yeah, I
like,
think again, like
oh,
it's
it's a
the
tough balance though. I get it. Like how else do you get the government to listen, right? I get it.
right.
But
We
Right.
have a right to protest. It's a
well,
constitutional
we have a
right,
right to freely assemble is what the law is. You know what I mean?
which again, this is what I wanted to talk about
And
too.
the government can place a restriction on three different things: the
Yeah.
time, the place, and the manner in which you do so.
Yes. Yes.
Again,
Yes. So you
I'm
don't
educated on
really.
this because I read a lot about this stuff, so I can be informed.
Yes. Yeah, you
But
don't really have a right to free speech. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
they can garner based on those three things.
Yeah.
But if you give an unpermitted protests, which very easily, can evolve into a riot.
Yeah.
Do we allow the people? And I'm not saying I would do it one way or another. I'm just genuinely asking, like a general, do we allow them to burn the city down? Because
No. No.
their communities most of the time.
Yeah. And if you're asking me
Those
that, I
extreme
think that's
situations. If we're talking about just people protesting, like their belief, like they should absolutely be allowed to. And I
yeah.
personally would never infringe upon someone's right. Like I'm an American. Like I
Yeah.
truly believe in our Constitution, and I'm not going to disinfringe on someone's rights just because I have some questions for my supervisors if they start asking me to do things that are illegal.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
like,
another
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Annette.
All I said was absolutely. No, go ahead.
I
No.
do
So
want. I'm sorry, real quick now. I got a question
no.
because while
Do you
we're
think?
on this, I wrote this down because I wanted to say it earlier. I forgot. What do you think the role of like us as a society, like constantly? like paying, like for example, like when a news media outlet promotes like a bad use of force case by a police officer, right? When we as a society just always click it, always watch it, always share it, you know what this is doing for this news media outlet? They're getting all this money. So it creates
Yep.
like this cycle of them doing that. If you think that they're doing that, in my opinion, I don't know, right? But I don't think that they're necessarily they even really care about the incident. I think more so they care about the money that they're getting from the
Of
incident.
course.
In my opinion. I don't know though.
Yeah.
I don't work for them,
Yeah.
but and it creates this like a loop, you know, like they
Yes.
promote this negativity. We continuously buy it. I'll watch it. Like shit, you know what I mean? Like I'm part of it. Like and then it creates this cycle of hate and then over and over and over and
I
over and
think
over
a
and over.
lot of the ones that have garnered a lot of media attention, though, do highlight some sort of
Injustice.
misbehavior.
Yes.
Yes, like the police didn't act appropriately, and I think, I mean, obviously
Those
we
are
live in a very polarized society, so we're getting a whole array of opinions on it. Like if we go back to George Floyd, I mean, we saw how, and again, this isn't me trying to put any sort of politics on you, but I guess just from like a leftist or a non-biased perspective, we saw the right weaponize this and basically drag someone who was the victim, who is now deceased, through the mud, saying that he was, you know, drug dealer, this, that, and the other thing. When
Yeah.
what we saw, an objective person should be able to look at this situation and say, okay, that did not have to lead to a death. That situation did not have to go down like that. How can we, as a reasonable society, learn from what happened, retrain, redo whatever we need to do, assess whatever we need to do, so that things like that don't happen again? So I think there's
I
value
agree.
in that
Yeah.
aspect of
I'm
it.
not I'm definitely not taking away from the value of it. I just think that there's like this role of our responsibilities as a society to like see this stuff, acknowledge it, and do better. But then there's like this also where we perpetuate this hate over and over and over and over and over again. People will take the extreme levels of saying that we're all the same because of that, which I think is unfortunate.
Yeah.
As a
Yep.
society, where's our responsibility in that realm, and also our responsibility as police officers to do better and learn from that situation, which most states agencies across the nation, I believe, at least ours, put things into place after that, like the police accountability bill, where we can't use chokes, which do limit our availability. Like I've trained jujitsu, right? A choke is one of the most effective tools to disarm somebody. It's super easy. I can put you to sleep and you will wake up completely unharmed. Over and over and over again. I have this to me all
So
the time in the gym. I wake right up. But
that's
now if I
crazy.
can't,
Like,
all
I
right, but
can't
it's
imagine just being so
But you're
chill.
trained.
You know, yes,
You
yeah.
know, but the thing
No,
is, you're
I see the
trained to
value
do
in
that.
it. I'm just saying, like, you do it to yourself, like, or somebody does it to you in the gym or whatever. Like, I can't imagine like doing
I
that.
don't
That's why
I
I
don't have
reacted
to
that way.
I'm going to sleep, and then I'm going to wake up and be like, oh my God, what happened? And then I'm good to go in 5 seconds. But now if that tool is taken away from me now, right? So
Yeah.
what is my tool? My tool, closed fist, a baton, a taser, a gun. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying like the reality now is that tool has been taken away. I understand why, because this whatever happened with the situation, he was leaning on his neck. It's tough, man. It's I don't know
No.
what the answer
I
is.
don't think we
That's the
need
reality.
So
less media coverage of incidences of police brutality. I think we just need, in conjunction with it, more media coverage of how of positive responses, like
Yeah, I'm not saying
like
yeah,
certain
I'm saying like,
states. No, yeah, no, definitely not.
approach society, how we respond to it, looking at it as a learning opportunity rather than a reason to hate the police, to hate a profession.
Absolutely. And
You know
I
what I
would
mean? I think
100% agree with that.
yeah,
That's what I try to advocate for. Like, you know, like, because the hatred doesn't get us anywhere, all it does is,
perpetuate anger and circle.
exactly, it brings vitriol to people who feel that it's part of their belief system to defend that behavior, you know?
yeah.
So they're going super, super
Hard.
far to their belief system. I don't want to use terms like right and left in this situation, so sorry, I'm
I
just
know
kind of
what
stumbling what I'm trying to say. But
use
yeah,
them
I
as
absolutely agree with that. It creates this cycle of hatred.
and I was gonna mention that, but you made but you said a good point there. Like, I don't really believe in like this divisiveness in the left or right. I think we're all just like there's one race and there's one like we're just a human race, right? And we all have different
Yeah.
ideas and thoughts and beliefs. But I think it's really good that you said that. I appreciate that. So it's, I don't know. I really wish I had the answer, man, but I don't think any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the way I see it, right? Like my personality is like, well, if there's a problem, then we have to work through the problem and then see where. Because at the end of the day, somebody, if you're just all stuck in the problem, then and nobody's looking for the answer, or if nobody's trying to get the answer, then it's just like, and it's just that spiral. Like we're just stuck in this like mud, right? And a lot of times when situations like any kind of excessive force or whatever the case may be is happening, right? Uh, there's like these we're always getting the picture through so many different lenses, right? Like, well, there's the left lens or like or the right lens or like, well, what was it, you know what I mean? Like so many things get put, and then we don't ever see the picture clearly. And on top of that, there's like so many narratives that will come into play, right? Like there'll be like the police narrative and like the history narrative of whatever the person is, and then like the law narrative, right? Like we never get to see the other stuff, or we don't never get to see the behind the scenes situation. And kind of like what you said too is like, well, e- something happens in a state, well, they might have a different law with how you want to handle the situation. They might allow chokes, right? Like that might be a thing that might be allowed there. They're probably not in a lot of states now, but and somebody like in a state like this where we know it's not allowed, and then you're looking at that like, oh, dude, that's like kind of excessive, right? Like, but you don't know the situation. You just saw like a 30-second, 40-second clip, and then you heard somebody talk about it, and now your opinion gets formed because of that. So it's always good to like, hey, maybe let's take a step back and like let's get all the facts. But like
But
then
to
there's
get more
always
facts, you have to go through so much. Like that's just
exactly. So you never get the
I could be an
facts.
investigator as a normal
Right.
person in this world.
But
Right.
so it's like, why are we as a society so opposed to a system where that's where we would put our funding towards, like being a more
Well, you know
effective,
why.
like rather than accumulating weapons. I mean, I know I'm being idealistic here because I know it's capitalism. It's the
It's
it's
capitalism. It is.
but
It is. That's
I
the
guess
answer.
okay. Let's thought experiment. Like
Yeah.
why? Like imagine a perfect world where we can say, oh, this problem happened. Let's put more funding and put some experts in place who know what the fuck they're talking about to so that we can actually evaluate how to do things better. Like,
Imagine if
but
police were
we're
on the
so
council.
resistant. We're so fucking resistant.
Like, imagine if police are on the council of people who make laws for police. Like, I know that sounds crazy.
Whoa,
I know that sounds
whoa,
crazy. Like,
you're
but
going overboard there.
that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
and you could say that for every issue, like, but that's normally not the case,
Yeah.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, 100%. 100%. I mean, like, look at our education secretary right now. She's a fucking WWE wrestler. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can say that
Yeah.
for literally about anything. And I know you can't say anything, but
Yeah,
I'm just,
yeah.
just an instance example.
Not to jump around too much, but we were talking about like how this, the media and society creates, or excuse me, like perpetuates the hate, and then the police officers will respond to the hate, and then in turn become more aggressive, and then it becomes like this
Yeah.
cycle. And I think
Cold
everyone
cycle.
plays a role of responsibility in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think as professional police officers, you need to be able to separate that, but I
Yes.
understand the role that happens to it, right? But what
Yes.
happens is
Yes.
that hate gets perpetuated, and then a police officer goes to pull someone over, and for maybe a legitimate infraction and or crime, which I would
Yeah.
hope that all police officers are doing, and not just pulling people over for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, I'm not putting my hands up. I'm not putting my hands on the steering wheel. I'm not going to do what you have to say. And now I'm in a tough position
Yeah.
because you could be a good person, just maybe give me a tough time, or
Yeah.
be a legitimate criminal who's looking to hurt me because
Yeah.
you have drugs in the car or you have a warrant. Like, you never know who you run into.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, really, I mean, you guys have seen the Bristol incident, right?
No.
Remember the Bristol incident where the two police officers were murdered?
Oh, yes. 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 Yeah. I did hear about that.
And I
Yes.
went
Where
to
they
that
were called. It
Bristol.
was a 911 call, right? Like he made a fake
Yeah,
911 call. That's, yeah. A couple of years ago. It happened a couple of years back.
it was
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the exact date. Hold on.
You can share your screen too if you want.
No,
As
I
Yeah.
you're.
don't have to do that. When was this? I know it was
I
our,
wanted to talk about so much more other stuff. We never got to it.
yeah, I know it was Officer Hamsey and Sergeant DeMonte, but
Yeah.
from my understanding, at least it limited. Um, memory of it completely, but there was an incident where it was two brothers fighting at a bar in Bristol. Police officers were called. They were given, and again, excuse me if I make a mistake of anyone watching this now. RIP those officers, and whatever. Anyways, so they responded to an incident at a bar. They ended up giving, I believe, misdemeanor summons to one or two of the brothers. So it was like a non-custodial arrest or some type of infraction. They went home. It happened again. They fought, the two brothers, and there was a shooting of some sort that happened, and one of them called the police and ambushed them when they arrived and murdered them both. And then a
Wow.
third
Yeah.
officer arrived from Bristol and ended up fatally wounding the offender there. So yeah, it's you never know what you're gonna. You could just go to that call thinking it's
It's a
just
normal
another day
call.
of work, and then you're
Yeah.
getting ambushed by a dude in the woods with absolute hatred for you and wants to end your life. And
Yeah.
two fathers were taken away,
Yeah.
from their families forever.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's
Snooze my Karen, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh,
tough,
yeah,
tough. You can't go into every call with that mentality because then I'm gonna be like a freak. You know what I mean? Like if I go into every call and I'm like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So
super amped
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want to be like super, super hyper,
yeah,
be a person still. So it's a balance
Yeah.
for people, but
yeah,
some people can, and I don't know. I don't know the answer, man.
yeah.
And I
I
think
don't know.
that, I mean,
No,
that has to
it's
be
tough.
your, like, a police officer's responsibility if they're going to continue in that
To be,
job.
you gotta know.
They're gonna, that's just what's, I mean, it sucks, it's tough, but it's just what's expected of you.
Exactly, and you gotta train, and like
Yes,
that is one of
yeah,
the issues that in yeah, police officers need to train more, in my opinion. Let's just say
yes.
that.
I
I
agree.
agree.
I
Yeah,
agree.
we're absolutely in
I agree.
agreement with that. And
Yes.
I don't know
Maybe they
if,
should be given time where they get paid to work out and like train.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I would be in agreement with that. I mean, because
Yeah.
I think that's a better use of tax money than militarizing it further. I mean,
police
Yeah.
officers, this is a study and I don't have it readily available and I can research this and come back to you in the future, but there's
Yeah.
police officers that are higher trained in jujitsu and other martial arts forms and or have higher physicality will use less force without a doubt. I've
Yeah.
seen
Because they're
it.
confident and
Well,
he'd be able to
that
handle the
would be
situation
such an
probably, right?
somebody in the chat who's going to get their doctorate. Somebody do a study in that. I would love to know.
I mean,
Yeah. Cairo, get on it.
it,
Get on it, Cairo.
Yeah, Cairo, if you're still
realistically,
here.
it makes sense too, though. Like, for
It
example,
does.
if you're someone who's, going to cause harm to me, or, I believe so, if you punch me in the face, for example, I panic, I go to my gun, I shoot you. Or if you punch me in the face, I've been in a bunch of street fights before, and I train martial arts, and I know how to do
Yeah.
a double leg takedown or a single leg takedown or whatever the case, I know how to take your back, I can put you down and,
Yeah.
restrain you. But if you don't have that tool or that option, you're gonna go to the tools on your belt, and then
Right.
those escalate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
No, I,
agree.
I I agree. I agree. Like, watch out for the burnout. Train cops more to be able to, like you said, like, to be able to handle themselves. And I kind of, as we're sitting here talking about it, and I kind of hate this too a little bit because like we're just taking all the responsibility and just throwing it on cops. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you just have to be better. But and to a certain extent, it is true. Like, hey, you just approach the situation and it's
I'm a
all your
professional.
responsibility.
Oh, I'm getting paid to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
No,
Right. Like, but and then people will argue against that. But I'm like, you have to have the same thinking, right? Like, well, if you're on a fucking a doctor's table, like a surgeon's table, like you hope that the doctor has been
you argue with
training.
your
You expect
surgeon.
it to.
You argue with your surgeon. But I'm trying to.
Right.
He's trying to do his job. Are you telling him how to do his job? I would hope
I
not.
guess
That wouldn't
that
make
there
sense,
is
right?
that kind
But
of
it's
Yeah, it
difference
wouldn't make sense.
there.
but it's
there.
my
Exactly.
it's my
Exactly.
job to give me a hard time. I'm like, bro, like, come on, bro. Like, I'm
Yeah.
literally like, yo, listen, I know like you got this ideology about us. Like, let's just start
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
My name is Rome. Like, how can I help you? What's going on, man? Like,
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
me. What the
Yeah.
fuck are you here for? Oh my god, bro. I know I know where we're headed, and I would prefer if we didn't go down this direction. I would
Yeah.
just talk to you
Yeah.
and figure out what's going on, man.
Yeah. Let's work through this.
Let's
Right. We're
work
two
through this.
people just talking.
I want to go home
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've hammered this topic for like 2 hours now. I
So,
want to talk about something. So I did this training from the town of East Hartford. They're doing Narcan training. So I just got trained in Narcan. He fucking came showed me a PowerPoint. It wasn't much of a training. It's simple though. It's simple to use, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to the program coordinator there about like fentanyl, how that's becoming like a huge thing across the country. Um, What's your experience with that? Like, what are you seeing a lot, or do you not deal with that? Is that not your purview?
No, we see fentanyl and crack and every drug under the sun, like
Yeah,
I've seen pretty much everything you can think of as a police officer at this point. Um not everything. But anyways, yeah, it's an epidemic. It's a problem, man. Like
yeah,
and you could say only in our cities, but it's not. Like it's branching out into everywhere. It's all over the state, it's all over the
I,
nation. And it's
meth
ex
particularly has always been a huge problem in like more rural areas. So yeah, I mean it's a huge misconception to think like, oh, that's just in the cities. We're safe out here.
Well, I think it's a misconception too that people think like rural areas are all rich. I don't know, like for some reason people think like if you're not in the city, like
yeah,
you're rich. That's not the
yeah,
case. Some of these rural areas are
no,
extremely poor, and what
yeah,
I've
Yeah.
realized is they don't have the access to resources that a city that's funded does. They don't have as many shelters. They
yeah,
don't have as many, substance abuse counselors. They don't have as many social workers. So and like for example, you're in Hartford and you're cold and it's or you need food, you can either beg or you can walk to some place and buy food. If you're in the middle of let's say bumfuck,
yeah,
there's nothing around because
Yeah.
what are you gonna turn to survival?
yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in New Hartford. There's a fucking dam, and that's all you got.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I try to like I think what Annette said earlier is huge. Like it's really empathy. I think it's really gonna on both sides. I think understanding that cops have a tough job to do and cops understanding that like we have role and a responsibility to be better and understand that we
yeah,
have a stigma about us, so we got to even be even better, right? Like,
yes,
Yeah.
but
yes.
it's both.
I
Like,
agree.
you can't look at me and be like, fuck me, and then expect me to be. I mean, I know I have this expectation of myself, and you should, but
Yeah,
it gets tough for you have no role or responsibility in how we interact with each other as two people. Fuck a badge, fuck a job.
y-
It's two
yeah,
individuals. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
mean
I 100% agree.
the general responsibility we all have to treat each other well is something I absolutely agree with and believe in personally. Um,
Yeah,
but like you said, like we've already said, and like that we've kind of hammered home. It's when you're in a professional role, your expectations are higher. Um,
yeah. But to touch back what Na was saying, like I don't really. Do you ask me like what the like what just my experience with it in general, or like what can we do about it? I'm not really sure. What do you
what
mean?
about the
fentanyl.
fentanyl?
Yeah, it depends on
No,
we
I'm just so like we hear it so much in the news, right? Like, and I'm just trying to like gauge because I obviously don't interact with it at all, in my day to day life at all. And then you do. So the guy that I was talking to, the coordinator, and I kind of asked him the same thing. I was like, "Do you?" Because I don't see it. And I was like, "Well, do you really like?" What they're always talking about this. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all over the streets. And I'm like, "Do you see that? Because you're out here. Like he drives around East Hartford, like with Narcan spray, like seeing if anybody needs help and to just get them out and there try to get them help. He's basically a social worker. And I was asking him, I was like, "Are you seeing this a lot?" He's like, "It kind of slows down in the winter because they don't want to be outside because it's really cold. But in the summertime, he's like, it kind of explodes a little bit and like they'll be out on the street. I hadn't seen it, so that's kind of where I was kind of going with it. I'm like, how much are you seeing it?
often
I don't know
enough
how much you
where
help,
it's
but
like you know what I mean. Like I mean, if I deal with any type of substance, I'm gonna wear a mask. You know what I mean? I know you know how strong it is. Like
yeah,
so a lot of times we'll send it to the lab and we'll test it rather than us field testing it because I'm not gonna open a drug like that can possibly become airborne and then I'm in a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we'll get the results later, and a lot of times it is, and a lot of times it could be any substance. So it's not more than any drug right now, personally, but it's enough where it's a drug that's out here. You know,
yeah. So but like that's what I'm asking is like, like, are you seeing it more
at
than
an
other drugs, or are you seeing the same
exponential rate?
amount?
No, I'm not seeing it as personally right now. I'm not seeing it as an exponential rate,
I
but
guess
it's
to like
enough where it's
shoot straight about it. I mean, it's probably the drug that's being the most weaponized by the administration right now, saying that we have to do this, that, and the other thing because of fentanyl. So if you're not seeing it, if it's not more of a problem than any other drug, it's a little
I
interesting.
think
I
I
guess.
think I think what's happening is it's not necessarily more of a problem in regards to abundance. I think the issue is the strength that it is,
Strength,
and that
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
the over like people don't overdose from these other drugs as often
it's
as
very
people.
quick.
It's very,
It's
very
like
fast and it's extremely potent and strong. And people are
yeah,
putting that in other drugs in order to
yeah,
hit their drugs high, whatever. And
Increase
if
the
you do the same amount of heroin that you do with fentanyl, you will die. Like
yeah,
that's like so. That's really, I think, the issue is how powerful it is. Not necessarily
yeah.
the abundance of it. It's just how powerful. But it
Do you
could be.
know? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not, just yeah. I'm not sure though. I mean, whatever the administration is pushing, I don't know. It's on them.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't comment on that.
yeah. No, no,
yeah, no, I
no, for
figured,
sure.
but
Is there anything you're seeing like that's being done about it, like to stop this flow? Like you might not. I'm just asking. I'm just shooting it in the dark.
I,
Like to
I,
lessen it.
I just don't know personally. I mean, I know
Okay.
that you know, what happens after we make an arrest? I mean, it's up to the judicial system and how they, if they want to be harsher on those type of crimes or whatever. We do investigate crimes where drug dealers will sell fentanyl and then somebody does overdose and die. We will put our maximum effort into investigating those crimes and find the person who is selling those drugs.
Yeah.
What we can do more than that, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like on our end, it's
So basically, kind of like I guess like I'm thinking of it like it's in the movies, right? Like they'll do like you'll follow what do you call it? Like it's a street dealer to try to get to the bigger dealer, try to get to the bigger dealer. Is that something you guys do?
yeah, we'll do search warrants for Snapchat phones. We'll find the most recent calls. Talk to every witness, everybody that knows a person, find out who the drug dealer is, take their phone, you know,
It's fucking dickhead.
and then it's a lot. It's yeah, we'll do stuff like
Yeah.
that. We have
Um.
specialized units that do stuff like that as well. We'll do it on the road, but we also have specialized units whose sole entire job is drugs.
Yeah.
right.
So like, is it DEA
Oh,
or
yeah,
is
it's
that
federal.
federal or you just like a
Yeah,
state
it's
thing?
federal. Yeah. But we have our own drug units. I mean, I think every department for the most part has their own drug unit.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
For the most part, yeah,
Okay.
Hyde Park has its own, Waterbury has its own.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Huh.
But then
I did not know that.
if they need help from a state agency, then the state agencies will come in. And then if the state agency needs help, they'll call in the FBI. And then it'll
Okay.
kind of like the list, more resources, better
Sure.
funded agencies have more access to resources and
Yeah.
manpower, excuse me, not men specifically. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Manpower. Yeah. So,
Um.
yeah.
Something you mentioned on the over the about the warrants kind of gave me a thought. Are you guys dealing with or using AI at all?
No, we are
Can you
not.
talk about that? Okay. Okay.
Interesting,
Okay.
interesting question.
Um, there are agencies across the nation that I do or that I have heard of that are using AIs in their report writing. Like they'll use their body cams, and the body cam will like essentially dictate what happens and write a report. I'm not sure Annette failed here. Or or is it
Yeah.
just
You
on
still
my
there?
end?
I think maybe you're in.
Oh, okay.
You can't see us.
Yeah, no, I can see you now, but I just can't see Annette.
Oh, I'm still here. I don't.
That's the internet in the South, brother. That's just how it is.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so it's
No, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. That like AI still hasn't. I know it's like slowly making its way. I was just curious because
the problem that we're having with AI is that if we solely rely on AI as police officers, how can I attest to that that's me that wrote that?
yeah,
And like,
Yeah,
how can I on that in court and testify that that's 100? And then you can't use the excuse in court like, oh, I forgot to delete that because it was AI. Like, that's
yeah,
case getting thrown. It's unacceptable. So
yeah,
there'll be another issue
yeah, a
with it.
huge amount of liability could come out of that. It could also miss something hugely important, and then if oversight of that starts to slip and people aren't reviewing what the AI produces, then
I
yeah,
think
that's
that
hugely negligent.
hugely, and I think that that probably what happened. Like, you become reliant. I mean, that's what happens on all of our like even our phones become so reliant on these. Everything we read on this is gospel. Like, I could see that happen
yeah,
very easily.
yeah,
So.
yeah,
I think that's why most police departments haven't done it, but some are, and I think eventually, as it progresses, I'm sure we will. I'm sure everything will, be AI,
yeah,
which is kind of
yeah,
scary. I just saw
yeah.
California has, I believe it was California has unmanned police cars that use AI to scan like facial recognition, and they patrol the streets as like a presence,
Oh
That's
and
shit,
creepy. I don't,
audible alert.
that is creepy.
I
It's
don't like
so
that.
creepy. You're gonna have
Very.
RoboCop. They're coming for your job, brother. Yeah,
Hey man,
RoboCop out here.
can I work from home? Can I work from home, please? Can I get like a remote? Can I get a remote? I'm cool with
You
that.
just have to look
Oh
if
my
crimes are
god.
being committed.
Get like just press the space bar every once in a while, just and then I'm on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Wiggle, get a mouse jiggler. You don't even have to,
No, that'd be insanity.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to let you guys go.
Yes. We're kind of ending. We usually end at 9 o'clock
Yeah,
anyways.
I
Bro,
mean,
thank you.
we took so much of your time. We appreciate you coming on so much. Thank you again
Thank you for
for
having me.
coming.
I actually had a really good conversation and time with you guys. It was
See,
very.
I told you, and you called me over here like, dude, what are you gonna get
You're
me in
not
trouble?
so
It's nothing like
scary.
that.
No, you guys are very nice, and I appreciate you guys for having me on.
No,
Maybe in the
bro.
future
Thank you.
we'll have some more conversations. You never know.
And
Anytime you
that'd be
want to, and
great.
I'll definitely
Yeah,
hit
just
you
let
up
us know.
for sure.
So it's nice to meet you, Annette, and hope you guys
Nice to
have a
meet you as
great night.
well.
Now,
Good
give me a
night.
call later. All right.
Yes, brother. We'll
I
see
know.
you. Thank you.
Be safe, guys. Good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
I love this conversation. We need to do more like guests, man.
I
Like
know
I'm
we need
telling
to.
you, like
I need to meet more people and bring them on. Which reminds
yeah.
me, I did. I went to a political talk last night. I
Nice.
was out in the public. I
Oh my
talked to
god.
people a little bit. It was crazy. I didn't know what to do with myself. But
Tell us
I
about your
did.
experience,
I did do it. It was good. So I went.
if you want.
I went to a talk. Hosted by the woman that I posted about yesterday,
Okay.
Mallory Dittmer. So, moderate candidate running for Ralph Dorman's seat, who is my House representative. Obviously, super Republican.
Come on, like we talked so much about like so okay. Orion Aries and
Got
Chiroverse.
distracted.
Listen.
Kyra's being
He
crazy in these
he was
comments over
very
here.
scared. He was
Yeah.
very scared to come on. Like Rome is no, listen, he was very hesitant to come on. He almost called me like 30 minutes before we came on. He was like, I don't think I want to do this. Let's just me and you have a conversation and you could talk about that conversation. I was like, no, listen, we're just gonna get on there and we're gonna talk. It's gonna be totally fine. I wanted to just let him kind of I didn't want to interrogate him, right? Because again, he is active duty and I don't want to get him in any kind of trouble. Anybody take you guys obviously I trust, like you guys wouldn't do anything like that. I don't want somebody in here coming in here and taking a clip of it and then sending it to his sergeant or anybody and just getting him in trouble for anything he said. I definitely didn't want to do that. Like that, I would feel so fucking bad
Yeah,
if that happened.
absolutely. Especially since he came across to me as someone who should be on the force. Like those are the type of people we need.
No shit.
Policing.
Your family members is his boss? How do you know that? Hey, get my boy promoted, bro. What you mean? Get my boy
Yeah,
promoted.
how do you know?
How do you know that?
Is he? I think he's full of it. Like,
I
how would
think
you
no,
know?
I
How would you know?
oh,
Oh,
okay,
the
I got
whole
you. I got you.
state. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense.
All
Yeah, so I kind
right.
of wanted
Big
to
guy
let
over
him
there.
just, I kind of just wanted to let him do it, like whatever he wanted to do, whatever he wanted to talk about. I didn't want to go too political. I tried a little bit to get a little bit more political, but I didn't want, I didn't want to say anything. So,
I think what we
fucking
talked
Cairo over
about
here talking
was
about like, what was he talking about? Oh no, Annette, not Annette, Reckon over here talking about incarceration of indigenous people. I'm fucking not gonna talk about incarceration of indigenous people, dog.
I also think, um, that's obviously an issue here, but I think it's something
Yes.
that's more probably talked about in the media in Australia. Um,
Yeah.
so it would be more kind of on her mind, whereas here it's probably just like any sort of racial minority in general is
Yeah.
disproportionately represented.
Yeah. I don't want to ask him that. I mean, he is. I'm sure is aware of it. Like you guys see how he talks. I've known him for 16 years. Like you understand. Like he's always been this good person. He's a good person. He chose to be a cop, but he good person.
Hey.
No, and he's obviously knows what he's talking about. He is like when he's like what he's talked about here. It wasn't just some sort of like, oh, I'm on camera and I want to like I want to sound good. No, he actually like is that person.
We do. We need
Uh,
to find some sort of like a cab,
Opposite.
like like I don't know what you would call it, like organizer. I don't know. It's silly.
Yeah.
We'll have to find the head of Antifa right now. Just bring him on.
He's probably in Minnesota. That's why they're over there. He's in Minnesota
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let's Annette finish her story. What were you saying? So how was your experience?
Oh, I mean, it was good. Again, it's just I did. So the conversation focused on education. I didn't realize that going in, but I mean that's fine. It's still I don't have kids, so it's still something I'm interested in because I just value education. Period.
Yes.
But she's still it's just typical like of Democrats. It's like pulling teeth to get anything of like any fierceness,
substance.
anything of substance from them. It's like she's like the name Trump came up literally one time. Like I'm like, okay, like we're not gonna talk about how I mean there was some strength of the Southern liberals, the Southern libs are mad. They're pissed. This one lady went off on like a whole totally valid diatribe about how students in the South are basically being prepped to be worker bees.
Yes.
And she was like, while people in other countries and even in blue states are being prepped to be lawyers and engineers and doctors. And she's like, why does my son have to be some sort of basically shit pusher is what she said. Whereas just because of where we're from, well, and I think that's totally valid because she's like, I have concerns that my son's high school diploma won't be. It's like our education is going to degrade so much over time that it's not even going to be accepted in Massachusetts or in Connecticut. And I'm just like, I don't think she's crazy for that. I mean, our education system is totally being weaponized by the right now. We have, I don't know if she's not in Moms for Liberty, but she might as well be. Her whole job is just to funnel education money towards private entities. So it's like, I totally feel for these people. And I don't know, like I said, the candidate, she's not a strong progressive, strong leftist, but I'm at a point where I'm just like, if we can have just one non-Republican, non-MAGA Republican in particular in that role, it would, I would take a moderate Republican in that role because like Ralph Norman, I don't know if you know anything about Ralph Norman, but he's basically, Trump says jump, he says how high. And the dude is like 75 years old. So it's so like, it's just that thing again to me.
Weird.
It's so disgusting that you're like that at your big age.
You have no self-respect.
Yeah.
Like zero self-respect for yourself. No, funny enough, I was having this conversation with my mom, actually, because India is the same way. There's the brainwashing that is happening there like to kids, and like whatever happens in America, multiply that by like times 3 because the population is so fucking big. So whenever like the conversation about, I was watching a video about like manosphere, and like India has that too, not as like directly out there, but it's like baked into layers in certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, look, like there's kids in like middle school in China that are learning how to fucking make rockets. And I'm not talking about like small little bottle rockets. No, I'm talking about like actual fucking rockets, like that actually go up like hundreds of feet in the air. And they're learning the principles of like propulsion and shit like that, and like chemical reactions that are happening. And this is middle school.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, and then you have India where it's becoming this religious fucking cultist place where, and it's totally controlled by the BJP, which is a ruling party over there, which is a far right party, and it's just like religion is consistently just being used. No, you don't want to fucking go to India. Religious consistently pushed on the kids, and then this one little I saw a video of this one little kid. He's 8 years old, and his father is taking him on a fucking road journey. They're walking everywhere, and all they're saying is Modi is great. And he's dressed in like full like BJP gear, like MAGA hat
like,
gear, like
what?
fully on MAGA.
Literally, like it's like
what is
what are we
happening?
doing? What is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you not
So
invite us all to like a wedding that you were gonna have in India? Did that ever
I was
happen?
gonna have, yes, yes, it didn't happen. That was the whole thing. I will invite you guys to a wedding once I have my wedding. Yes, yes,
I was
it
all
will be a
excited for
thing.
it, and
Leave me the
then
fuck
I'm just
alone,
like,
dude. I have shit going. No, yes, yes, I that will happen. That will happen, and I hope you guys can all come. I would invite you all, you guys. Um,
sorry, kind of
uh, but
got
yes, so
distracted by Cairo
that
there
is for
again,
sure happening.
but yeah, I mean, it's
Jason, please only use English. We do not speak any other language. Oh, we do speak other language, but I can't read any other language.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it was nice to be out talking to people about politics, even just a little. I didn't really talk much, but a little bit with the
yeah,
people around me. I was disappointed that it was again a very old crowd.
yeah.
I think maybe something that you and I could do is try to brainstorm ways that we can get young people to things like this, like because it's so
Young people are
discouraging.
disappointing us. Young people are disappointing
I
us.
mean, I get it. You got, a lot of people have their kids, their jobs, whatever. They're busy, but it's like it's the younger people that are mostly affected by this. I mean, half the people in this room are going to be in that room. We're going to be dead by the time the consequences of the poor education system like come to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree. Um, yeah, that's kind of all I have. Roman's calling me actually. So that's kind of all I have.
All right.
I want to actually make an effort to go out into public too. So if I do that, I will come and regale us in the story too.
Love it.
Guys, thank you for joining us again. I really appreciate you guys being in here talkative and talking to us.
Yeah,
I had this was a great
great
episode.
engagement from the chat today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be back on, but we'll see you guys again for ATF next Thursday. We don't know what we're talking about, but we'll have somebody. I'm actually
It's
working on
always
getting another guest.
it's always a game time decision, so we'll
Yes.
we'll
Yes. And I
see.
am working. I will spoil this a little bit. I am working on getting another guest come on to talk about DEI possibly. I don't know when, but
Cool.
it will happen. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll
All
see you
right.
guys later.
Have a good night.